call the meeting to order, and I want to thank everybody for joining us today. We just finished a wonderful conversation over coffee with some of the local state representatives and senators. We do that every time we're out on the road, and we really learn a lot from that. I think some of them might have joined us here today, but I want to thank them for taking the time and sharing their thoughts with us. So today is Wednesday, October 1st, and it's a little after 9. To establish a quorum, I'll ask the secretary to call the roll.
Commissioner Erdman,
Here.
Commissioner Boatwright.
Here.
Commissioner Smith.
Here.
Commissioner Huggett.
Here.
Commissioner Slay.
Here.
Commissioner Baker.
Here.
All present, we have a quorum.
Thank you. Well, welcome, everybody. It's great to be in Kirkwood. We were all taken aback by the development that's been here. Some of us hadn't been here in a while, and you've got a lot to be proud of. We're very honored to be in your Performing Arts Center today. Thank you, Mayor, for making that possible. Very exciting. As we move forward with our business today, I have a reminder for all that we are live streaming this open meeting for the public to view from their home or office. If you are speaking, please make sure you speak into the microphone and that the microphone is on so that the viewers over the internet might hear what's being heard. For the viewers watching online, we encourage you to subscribe to MoDOT's YouTube channel, MoDOT Video, for access to these meetings and more. We're going to start our meeting this morning with a brief emphasis on safety. Area Engineer Ryan Piercy is going to share with us what we need to do today in case of an emergency. Ryan?
Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Commission. Welcome everybody here. St. Louis is a beautiful day here today, so we lucked out on a good one. Just take a quick minute here before we get to the meat and potatoes of the meeting, go over just a little bit of safety. So just for starters, if there is a fire, everybody can just jump up here. There are doors, walk right out the back. There's doors to the side that you can walk out there. If for some reason those doors would possibly not be able to go, we need to go the other way, head towards the parking lot, and then we'll head towards South Fillmore, walk to the back of the parking lot where the railroad tracks are. If we got to get up, and everybody has to go, just look to your left, look to your right, make sure you kind of buddy up and make sure that the person next to you can get out and you recognize them. If there is a small fire that we don't have to evacuate, there are a number of fire extinguishers in the area. There's one right across from the box office. I'm going to volunteer myself to get that, just in the unlikely event that I can play with the fire extinguisher. And also, if there's any sort of medical emergency, our area engineer in the city, Jen Wade, she's going to run and get the AED that's in the box office. In the case of those emergencies, our assistant district engineer, Tom Evers, will call 911 and direct him here to the Performing Arts Center. It's 210 East Monroe Avenue, in case anybody just wants to know where we're at. And if any sort of CPR needs to be administered, Jamie Rana is our project manager here at the district, and our Franklin Jefferson area engineer, Jordan Dalaveras, will assist her. So other than that, have a great meeting. Welcome everybody. Thank you here, and have a good one.
Thank you, Ryan, and hopefully we're all good to go for safety. Let me just take a moment and recognize some of our special guests joining us today and some of the elected officials. As I call your name, if you would, we'll stand. We'll recognize everybody. First is State Representative Mark Boyko. Representative Boyko, thank you for joining us. State Representative Richard West, who joined us for coffee. Thank you, Richard. We have some county presiding commissioners joining us today from Drain County, Alan Winder, Commissioner Winder, and from Pike County, presiding commissioner Bill Allen, Commissioner Allen. And of course, our host, Mayor Liz Gibbons, is here. Liz, thank you again. Let's give them a round of applause. Next, I need to review a few procedural items for the conduct of the meeting today. Let me remind everyone that we have a public comment period, and we're pleased to offer this to every Missourian that wants to come before the commission and address an issue of concern. If you would like to address the commission, please sign up at the rear of the room before 9:30. As a reminder, you will have 5 minutes for public comment or 10 minutes per subject. Next, regarding abstentions, I will review our abstention process. There are commissioners that, because of land ownership, business interests, lawyers who may represent clients, or may have some other relationship to the matter coming before the commission, and may have a potential or perceived conflict of interest to be considered. The commission member will indicate if he or she chooses to abstain from voting or to recuse himself from participating in the discussion of an item. If an agenda item is divisible by contract, call, project, or the like, a commissioner may specify that that particular matter could be a conflict and then still vote for the remainder of the item. The commission secretary will duly indicate the abstentions or recusals according to the meetings of the minutes. Madam Secretary, have those letters been prepared?
Yes, sir.
Very good. We'll move into the meeting now. The first is an action item to consider the minutes of the regular meeting on September 4th, 2025, and the special meeting on September 3rd, 2025. Are there any additions or deletions to those minutes? Hearing none, do I have a motion to approve the minutes as presented?
So moved. Second.
Been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? If not, all those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? The motion is approved and the minutes are adopted. Next, we will consider items on the consent agenda. That agenda has been produced in advance and commissioners have had an opportunity to review it. Does anyone have a need to remove any item for discussion later from the consent agenda? Hearing none. I will abstain on the vote involving the railroad grade crossings because I recused myself on those things. If there's no further comment on the consent agenda, do I have a motion for approval of the consent agenda?
So
Move for
moved.
approval.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor will say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it, and the consent agenda is approved. Next, we'll move into our committee and committee reports, and today the audit committee is represented by Commissioner Boatwright, Commissioner Slay, Commissioner Baker. I'll turn it over to Commissioner Boatwright for the audit committee report. Oh, I'm sorry, Commissioner
I'll
Slay.
go ahead and handle that one. Well, the audit committee met on September the 15th. We reviewed and accepted one internal audit report, which was a review of maintenance required safety activities and training. The next audit committee meeting will be November 5th, 2025. That's the audit report.
Thank you, Commissioner Slay. All commissioners are a member of the legislative committee, and the commission's chair and vice chair serve as co-chairs of the legislative committee. Today, Commissioner Boatwright will give the legislative committee report.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. The governor called a special session that started on September 3rd and concluded 9 days later on September the 12th. During the special session, the General Assembly addressed congressional redistricting and initiative petition reform. Additionally, the General Assembly held its annual veto session on September the 10th. House Bill 1, the redistricting bill, was sponsored by Representative Dirk Deaton. House Joint Resolution 3, sponsored by Representative Ed Lewis, proposed changes to the state's initiative petition process. Governor Kehoe signed House Bill 1. It will be effective beginning with the election cycle of the 120th Congress, which will be in 2026. House Joint Resolution 3 is a constitutional amendment and must go before the vote of the people before it can go into effect. Lawmakers convened for the veto session of the regular session of the 103rd General Assembly on September the 10th. At odds with the flurry of activity around the special session, the 2025 veto session was mundane at best. Because Governor Kehoe did not veto any legislative bills, the House and Senate only had line item budget vetoes to debate. On September the 10th, Director Hassinger presented the transportation update to the Joint Committee on Transportation Oversight. At this meeting, he reported the department will have a supplemental appropriation request for the fiscal year 2026 budget. The requested supplemental appropriations is for $643 million to be transferred into the state road fund. And the long and short of this is last session, we had the federal road fund that was created on the Senate side. That fund did not go into effect. And ultimately, to be able to finish out the year with what we have on the books and to pay employees, this supplemental has to be put into the state road fund, which it was not. So that's the long and short of it. The requested supplemental budget needs to be passed by the legislative spring break to have the spending authority in place to continue operations and payments to contractors and employees. He also shared the MoDOT has targeted efforts in 4 key focus areas. 1, to deliver the program. 2, to restore operations. 3, to work safely with our team and the traveling public. And 4, focused on customers. He then elaborated on each of those 4 areas. I will take this opportunity to remind everyone that we are focusing on the passage of the supplemental budget. Last session, the legislature reduced the appropriations by $643 million. And yeah, I've already mentioned all of this. So moving forward, speaking of continuing operations at the federal level, Congress has reached the end of the fiscal year, which was yesterday. And as we know, the federal government is shut down currently. They were unable to pass a budget and a continuing resolution. As a result, the federal government is shut down. And with that, Mr. Chairman, that concludes my report.
Thank you, Vice Chairman Boatwright. Let me just observe very quickly on this that as legislators will know, as the budget deadline approached, frequently you have to make accommodations to meet the deadline. And as that approached last spring during the session, in order to get around this controversy between the Senate and the House on the federal funds bill, they decided to authorize about half of what we need for the year, which we were very grateful for. But only gets us halfway through the year. So we will need this supplemental in January, and we're going to be talking about this quite a bit. Absent that supplemental authority, we would have to start considering contract revisions, slowdowns, potentially cancellations, and other pretty serious financial actions to address the lack of that spending authority. And I would also mention that these funds are in the state road fund, and that is primarily funded from the fuel tax that Missourians pay. It's not general revenue. So as legislators start thinking about January, that will be something we'll want to talk about. So thank you again for that report. Commissioner Smith serves as president of the MTFC, and myself, Commissioner Baker, are board members, and Commissioner Smith will provide the report today.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The board met yesterday, September 30th, and accepted the fiscal year 2025 financial statement audit presented by Williams Keepers LLC, the 29th consecutive clean audit. Doug Hood, MoDOT Financial Service Director, was elected the MTFC Treasurer, and Sonny Wild, I believe, MoDOT Assistant Financial Services Director, was elected the MTFC Assistant Treasurer. The board approved a 1-year renewal option with Williams Keepers LLC to perform audit services for fiscal year 2026. The board received its 17th Certificate of Achievement from the Government Financial Officers Association for excellence in financial reporting. The next meeting is scheduled for February. Mr. Chairman, that concludes my report.
Thank you, Commissioner Smith. Commissioners Boatwright, Hegeman, and I serve on the Emperor's Board. That's the retirement board for MoDOT employees and Highway Patrol employees. And today, Commissioner Hegeman will provide the report.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, the board did meet on September 18th. Representatives from Emperor's Actuary, GRS, presented the annual actuarial evaluation. The annual actuarial evaluation is designed to measure the overall financial condition of the retirement system. Mr. Scott Simon reported to the board that all the system's vital signs are green or without concern. The investment committee met before the board meeting on September 18th. Various investment staff presented the current liquidity analysis, i.e. this is where the fund has adequate liquid assets to pay expenses and benefits. The private markets pacing plan, which ties to the liquidity and the projected commitments to the private market asset classes in coming years. The semi-annual internal fixed income review, and a management fee analysis. These are fees that are appropriated on a basis on the approved asset allocation. Then Mr. Simon reported that MPERS hired a new CFO who started on August 4th, 2025. This position was filled early to include an overlap prior to the current CFO's retirement in early 2026. He shared that MPERS will be open in our new building beginning September 29th, 2025. And then with that, Mr. Chairman, the next board meeting is scheduled to be for November 20th, 2025. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Commissioner Hageman. As a member of the Emperor's Board, for those who might be listening online, the MoDOT retirees, MoDOT employees thinking about retiring, or Highway Patrol retirees, the good news is the Emperor's account, Emperor's Fund, is in very good condition. It has made incredible improvement in recent years. It's probably one of the healthier public retirement plans now in state government, and tremendous progress has been made. So we keep a close eye on it. If you're a retiree, we're there to make sure your retirement is waiting for you when that time comes. So with that, I'm going to turn to the Missouri Coalition for Roadway Safety Executive Committee report, which will be provided by Vice Chairman Boatwright.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. 2 weeks ago, hundreds of safety advocates gathered in Columbia, Missouri for the annual Missouri Highway Safety and Traffic Conference. It was a wonderful event that brought together many different disciplines who can work together to reduce traffic fatalities in the state of Missouri. The director will have more information about this event during his report later this morning. The Coalition Executive Committee will meet again on Thursday, October the 9th. Anticipated agenda items include discussing implementation of the state's new strategic highway safety plan, legislative priorities for the upcoming session, and novel programs for further consideration in Missouri. On Wednesday, October the 29th, we will be hosting our 9th annual Buckle Up Phone Down Day in Missouri. This day is set aside to bring some extra attention to BUPD, and it's also great. It's also a great opportunity for school, businesses, cities, counties, and others to join MoDOT in this cause. To commemorate the day, each MoDOT district is planning a number of activities to highlight the Buckle Up Phone Down, and all coalition partners are also being encouraged to find ways to engage the public on that day. We encourage each of you to join us as well by posting the BUPD support and using the Buckle Up Phone Down Day hashtag. We had to put hashtags in here. You know, you guys know I have a really hard time with the hashtags. I'm joking, but a hashtag BUPD Day. Finally, as of September 25th, traffic fatalities in the state are down 3% compared to this time last year, with the biggest gains coming in the commercial motor vehicle crashes and unbelted fatalities. We will need a strong finish over the last 3 months in order to have 3 straight years of declining traffic fatalities in Missouri. Let's do whatever we can during the rest of this year to raise awareness, model good behavior, and keep each other safe. And with that, Mr. Chairman, that concludes my report.
Thank you, Commissioner Boatwright. Never before have we had as much construction going on Missouri's highways as we have now. So this safety message is one that's doubly important right now. As we discussed at the coffee, unfortunately in the construction zones, motorists are not complying with the speed limit restrictions and lane changing restrictions. And this is puts the construction workers and motorists at danger. We want to remind all motorists that the construction zones have reduced speeds and lane change requirements. We are working with the Missouri Highway Patrol to increase enforcement. And during this critical time of construction, it's vital that all Missouri motorists obey the speed limit restrictions in work zones, change laning restrictions, and be courteous to other motorists navigating the work zone. We're going to be having construction in Missouri highways for 4 or 5 years to come, and we have to get used to this as Missourians, slowing down, putting the phone down, and paying attention as you go through the work zone. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to the director for his report.
Great. Mr. Chairman, commissioners, everybody in the audience, I have a few things I'd like to share with you today. A couple months ago, the effort to widen US Route 54 in northern Missouri received some really good news in the form of a $24.9 million federal build grant. That grant will be put towards widening 54 on a 14-mile segment and turn it into a shared 4-lane with alternating passing lanes in Audrain and Pike County. I just have to say that Congressman Sam Graves was pivotal in getting that done. I think Alan is here somewhere, right, Alan? How many years, I got to give you credit for persistence. How many years did we turn in a build grant for this? Our transportation plan tells me 8. But I guess persistence pays off, and I really want to, highlight not only Congressman Graves and the work that he did to bring it home, but also the community, the Better 54 Coalition, and all the partners in northern Missouri that have really worked hard to get that done. So Alan, pass that on to your coalition and the folks that have worked so hard to get this. And certainly to Congressman Graves and his staff that have worked with the coalition. I guess persistence pays off, right? Yeah. And from our standpoint now, what we look forward to is having the ability to deliver on that project. So our team in Northeast Missouri is going to really get on that, and we'll have that put together here and get that project done. So really good news. So thanks to everybody that had anything to do with that, and we'll get on with the process of getting that done. Similar note, last month we celebrated another milestone in our effort to improve I-70 across the state. It feels like we're sharing this milestone maybe on a monthly basis. And the reason it seems like that is because we are. We certainly are moving at lightning speed to get that project underway. On September 9th, the chairman and I met in Green Valley with local officials and representatives of state and federal elected leaders and industry partners to break ground on the third Improve I-70 project from Blue Springs to Odessa. So I want to share just a brief video of some of the highlights of the event that happened there in Odessa.
After the funding was made
Or in Blue
available
Springs.
June 13th, 2024, we gathered in Columbia to celebrate the beginning of the program and break ground for the first Improve I-70 project. Just 9 months after the beginning of Columbia to Kingdom City, the team celebrated a groundbreaking for the second Improve I-70 project, Warrington to Wentzville. In precedented speed, we are here today to celebrate the start of construction of the third Improve I-70 project, Blue Springs to Odessa.
The speed at which this MoDOT team is delivering this project is eye-popping. This is the envy of the nation. As members of the staff go to their colleagues at conferences, they're all asking, how are you able to move so quickly?
I-70, the first interstate project in the country ever, was done by Missouri in 1956. And so the need to rebuild our interstate corridor for the next generation has been something we've talked about for a long time, and now it's great that it's here. We're going to produce something that is going to be talked about for the next generation when we have to rebuild this in 70 years.
The heavies have worked hard and have been extremely supportive of improvements to I-70 for many, many years. This stretch of interstate is one of the most critical to our state and one of the most important in our region. Our organization is extremely proud and will be for many years as we look back at this historic moment, knowing that our contractors, local men and women from the Kansas City area, led the way to these improvements.
As a local contractor team, we're excited to build something we can all be proud of. But as the work gets underway, I want to pause and talk about safety. These work zones can be dangerous if drivers aren't paying attention. Slowing down and staying alert makes all the difference in keeping our crews safe. Rodmacher and Eidecker are both family-owned businesses. At our companies, you'll often see actual family members working side by side. And even beyond that, our employees truly feel like family. That's why safety is personal for us. When I ask you to slow down in the work zone, I'm really asking you to help us protect our families and our friends.
So that was a great event. It was on a rainy day in over by Kansas City when we announced the winning team for this project. We were out there on a rainy day, and I told the team, you know, it's all right when it rains on those kind of days because we need the other days to get to work and get stuff done. So perfect. But what I really want to highlight here is what Rachel just said. These work zones, if you navigate them the way that we asked you to at the speed limit, are safe and they work. If you don't, they become a real problem for the safety of the motorists, for the safety of our teams and our contractors' teams, and they have consequences. And so on I-70, especially over here on this side of the state, we've been having some problems. We've had tractor trailer crashes on a regular basis that are, you know, gumming up the road for not minutes, but hours. We haven't had any serious injuries, but we've had significant problems. And it's really because people are not obeying the work zone signage and the speed limits. So, you know, when we say 50 miles an hour or 55 miles an hour, that's what it takes to safely navigate these work zones. If you don't do that, you're going to put yourself at risk, and you're going to put our folks at risk. So I can't implore you enough that if we do that, we will all get through this with minimal disruptions. And if we don't, we're going to have issues. So we need to continue to do this. And this isn't a short-term thing. I-70 is going to be under construction across the entire state for the next 5 years. This is what the public has asked us to do. This is what the legislature has funded us to do. And we're going to carry it out, but we really need some help. So I'm imploring all of you that have influence and just in your daily, you know, traversing of the region, please be the example and help us in this, if you would. And then we'll get these things done, and it'll be a great benefit to the state. Next, I want to highlight, since we're here in St. Louis, I want to take a minute to shout out to our bridge team here and some of the crucial work they've done over the last year. Just this past spring, an oversized load collided and struck the Route AF bridge over I-44 in Franklin County, causing really significant damage to its steel girders. By mid-July, our St. Louis bridge maintenance team had heat and straightened that damaged girder and made all the repairs really in really great time and with a low amount of disruption. Similar story happened on Route AAH on another bridge over I-44 in Franklin County. It was struck in June, caused similar damage, and our crew had that all taken care of by August. And really, this is a success story of the great skill and ability of our team here in St. Louis. But what I really want to highlight here is we talk about one of the priorities that the commission and I have about restoring the capability of our operation team. MoDOT needs to have the capability of doing this kind of work. We have to have the core competency to be able to execute these kind of complicated tasks, because if we can do it, it's cheaper, it's faster, we get a better product. And also for us to be able to manage this when we have our contracting community do it, we have to have the knowledge to be able to manage those that do that work. So when we talk about the operations team at MoDOT and the core competency that they need to do their job, this is just one example of that effort that we are working on today, and a great example of our St. Louis team. So I just wanted to highlight that today since we were here in St. Louis, but also the bigger picture of the capability of our team across the state. As the Vice Chairman mentioned, I wanted to share with you a brief recap of one of the more energizing and important gatherings that we're a part of each year. Our annual Highway Safety Conference was held a couple weeks ago, and we brought together over 570 safety advocates from across the state. Those attendees got to be among the first to access Missouri's new Strategic Highway Safety Plan. That plan is called Show Me Zero 2.0. And really it's built around the safe system approach that really talks about the 5 key elements: safer people, safer vehicles, safer speed, safer infrastructure, and safer response. So the conference was a chance to share the many strategies across these 5 elements that can be implemented by all Missourians. This isn't just a thing for the professionals. This is really a blueprint of how do we make roads safer in Missouri, and it's for everybody. Everybody, there's a piece, and you can go into the document and look at it and say, what do I need to do as it relates to me, my kids, my church, my folks that I know that I work with every day? And it's really just kind of nice to have that, and the way that we put it together, I think, is really very user-friendly. And I want to also highlight that, you know, what can we do to improve safety for our most vulnerable road users, primarily pedestrians? We're going to take a deeper dive into that later this morning, so you can see in greater detail how our team and partners are working to address this. That's only one of the many conversations that were shared with the goal of improving highway safety. Discussions also centered on the anticipated traffic impacts of hosting the World Cup in Kansas City. That's coming faster than we all realize. So, and then a lot of talk about post-crash care opportunities and the importance of traffic stops, the success of safety countermeasures, and how we reach out to engage our younger generations, and many more things. I had the privilege to share a few words at the conference, particularly aimed at work zone driver behavior, kind of what I just mentioned about I-70, which has really, quite frankly, been pretty atrocious. You know, we are really concerned. Last month, we observed at our annual Day of Remembrance, where we pause in each of our districts in the central office to remember and honor our co-workers who died in the line of duty. We read each of their 140 names. Let me say it again, 140 names of our co-workers that died in the line of duty. It reflects our mission that we never add another name to that list. But some of the behavior that we're seeing in work zones, namely excessive speed and dangerous distraction, is putting that at risk. And it's totally unacceptable. So although I know the team is this is a team of dedicated safety advocates, it is also exhausting all avenues to improve state of highway safety in Missouri. The road towards zero fatalities continues to rely on the critical role each of us play behind the wheel. I want to end with some more good news. Our communication team recently attended the AASHTO Annual Transportation Communication Conference, where they brought home 3 awards for outstanding work in public relations. These awards up here, I had nothing to do with, but these are the awards that they brought home, put them up here on display. Our department's work zone safety, you see a theme here. We have a video that we put together for Work Zone Awareness Week, which we shared a few times with all of you on the commission. And that received the top public service announcement. Our team in Kansas City put together a great video detailing the work that went into the Buck O'Neill Bridge mural as part of that project. If you haven't seen that video, it's kind of a neat video. And you can hear from our team as well as the artists who brought that to light, and see all the history wrapped up in that huge and beautiful mural. The recap took top video honors this year. And then our team in the Central District was recognized for their public involvement approach to keeping our various customers in the loop around last summer's work that was happening on US 54 around Jeff City. The awards contest is considered the premier competition in transportation industry And the wins were a lot of the a result of a lot of the hard work to get our message crafted and delivered effectively to the people who need to get them. So to our communication teams and our project teams all across the state, congratulations. Give them a round of applause. And then finally, one more piece of good news. Our Focus on Bridge program that I reported to you last month has advanced in the America's Transportation Award competition as one of the top 12 in the country. Now, there's something here that goes on. The first place is a judged award, so we're competing for the judged award. But also, there's something called the People's Choice Award, and that is voted on by anybody. So I'm going to implore the folks in the audience and anybody in the transportation world, you can go to the website and vote. And you can vote every day until like November. So the MoDOT team, we're voting for probably our own project. And there might be some other good ones you might want to consider. But I would say look really hard at that, one, focus on bridges and really thinking about the benefit of that program. We replaced in record time 250 poor condition bridges across the entire state in every corner of the state. And really for a huge savings. Bundling that many bridges and doing them in the fashion we did saved literally millions of dollars and years of time. And so it really is a great project worth consideration. So if you have the opportunity, I would encourage you to do so. Mr. Chairman, that concludes my report.
Well, thank you, Ed, and congratulations on the awards. All of us on the commission are aware of the fine work that the department has done, and those awards are very deserving. Are there any comments or questions? Yes, Commissioner Hagan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you. Thank you, Ed, for the great report. Wonderful stuff. I'm particularly excited about the work with Congressman Graves and getting that grant for Route 54 up there. Congressman continues to do a great job of representing all of North Missouri, and it's just wonderful. But more than that, he represents the whole state. He really helps us all. He's in a position to help us all out, and appreciate that. And it's just wonderful, the collaboration. That's what I particularly like, the collaboration between the local, the state, and the federal to get this effort moved forward. And that's why I also thank the commissioners back there that are a big part of this effort as well. So thank you for your local support as well. I love it when the various entities collaborate to make something great happen for our areas. So congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Hageman. Other comments?
Well, just to reinforce that point that Commissioner Hageman made, Congressman Graves has certainly represented the whole state very, very well. And being in that T&I chair, being in that position to have influence on infrastructure, it's been big for the state of Missouri. So we can't thank him and the staff enough for everything that he's done for the state.
Well, it's going to be great for the nation as we write the next transportation reauthorization. So having him in the seat he's in is going to be beneficial for Missouri, but also I think for the country as we get on to our next reauthorization.
Any other comment? Thank you, Ed. Okay, well, we'll turn to the next agenda item. If a community's personality is reflected in its leadership, I would say Kirkwood is a confident, happy, joyful, and growing place. Let me introduce the mayor of Kirkwood, Mayor Elizabeth Gibbons.
Thank you, Chairman, and welcome commissioners, welcome Director Hessinger, welcome all the MoDOT employees that are here and the citizens. I just want to give you a little background on Kirkwood. Kirkwood was the first planned community west of the Mississippi River and was formed in 1853. There was a huge fire in the city, and I'm sure our former St. Louis mayor knows about the history of that. And there was cholera going on. So some of the St. Louis residents were looking for a healthier place, less congested place to live. 3 years before that, Hiram Leffingwell and Richard Elliott bought 14 acres of land west of downtown St. Louis. And at that time, James Pugh Kirkwood was plotting out the survey of where the Pacific Railroad was going to go, and he plotted the city right here. One thing that's interesting is that the steepest non-mountainous grade of railroad track in the country is here in Kirkwood, coming up the hill from Valley Park. And you can really tell when our coal trains come by, and they come by on a daily basis, struggle to come up that grade. Included in the early amenities of Kirkwood was a deed restriction prohibiting any industrial. We don't have any strong industrial. We do have a little bit of light industrial now in Kirkwood. The new town was established many firsts in St. Louis County. First tax-supported library, first four-year high school, and first police department. Our original wooden train station was replaced in 1893 with the current stone station, which is in the process of being renovated at $5.8 million renovation. We're very excited about that. It will look exactly the same, except that a cover that was taken off in the 40s as a place for passengers to wait under in inclement conditions, they can wait, and that will go from the station out to Kirkwood Road. We are the third busiest train station along the Missouri River route, only to St. Louis and Kansas City. In 2002, Amtrak threatened to close the station, and Kirkwood bought it, and we now own this station, and is run by a station master with over 50 volunteers running the station. Route 66 came through Kirkwood from 1926 to 1965. Kirkwood is like many of the older communities in our state. Think of Rolla, think of Jefferson City, think of Warrensburg. We just happen to be in the middle of this big metropolitan area. There are many new residents in Kirkwood, but there are many residents and families that have been here 4, 5, and 6 generations. St. Louis County is made up of 87 different municipalities. None of those provide electric, water, and trash service. It's all contracted. Here in Kirkwood, we have our own. When our citizens have an issue with essential services, they can talk directly to the board of directors, the mayor, and council. It's a project, a government that's close to its citizens and works well. So what are our connections to transportation? 2 interstates, I-44 and I-270, 2 state highways, Kirkwood Road, a few people like to call it Lindbergh, 61, 67, and then project, Manchester Road from Kirkwood Road West. There's lighting, there's beautiful wide sidewalks, and we have plantings, and it really looks nice. We have 2 county roads here, Adams and Big Bend, and then Grants Trail is a trail along the bike route, and it is in the southeast corner, the trailhead. We have a project that we're going to be bringing the trailhead into downtown Kirkwood. So we're really excited about that going forward too. And something you may not know is that MoDOT's regional headquarters are right up here on Kirkwood Road from 1930 to 1993. Just wanted to tell you a little bit about this fabulous building. It opened in 2020, which was in the middle of COVID, so it was a slow start initially. But it has another theater right over here with 530 seats. One thing interesting about that is every seat is a little bit different size and a different color. And the reason for that is that when the theater is not full, it gives the sense to the actors that it is, so they can give a better performance. This black box holds 220, and we have all kinds of things going on in the theater. Theater projects, dance projects, musicals, wedding receptions. There's art gallery out there on both levels, and I hope you'll take a chance to look at that. We are so honored to have you host this meeting today, and commissioners and MoDOT workers and citizens, and please come back, and if you do, please let me know, because I would love to welcome you. Thank you very much for being here.
Well, thank you, Liz, and what a warm welcome we've had here in Kirkwood. I can see why people of St. Louis County are so proud of this economic hub here and what you've done. It's very impressive. We had a great dinner last night, so I saw 4 or 5 things on the menu that I'm going to have to come back for. Okay, well, thank you. Well, I think you're involved in the next one as well, but the next item is a non-action item, the Missouri Rail Passenger Advisory Committee. David Pierce with the University of Central Missouri, Mayor Gibbons again, Tammy Bruckerhofer with the Herman Tourism and Economic Development Director will make a presentation on behalf of the Rail Passenger Advisory Committee. I believe you all are coming forward at this time.
Yeah, good morning, Mr. Chairman. Thank you. Commissioners, Director Hassinger. My name's Alex Schrader. I'm the Administrator of Railroads within the Multimodal Operations Divisions, and it's my pleasure to give just a little more of an introduction to these 3 guest speakers today. So the Chairman referenced MORPAC, and just a brief history on this. It is the Missouri Rail Passenger Advisory Committee, and it was formed by MoDOT in 1995. And the purpose of it is really for MoDOT to work with Amtrak and all the local communities along our passenger rail lines in the state to develop and promote the passenger rail services in Missouri. And as the chairman said, the speakers here today are Liz Gibbons, David Pierce, and Tammy Bruckerhoff. Liz Gibbons just spoke with us. She's the mayor of Kirkwood. Before that, she served as a member of the Kirkwood City Council from 2020 to 2024. Gibbons has retired as the executive director of Character Plus, which was the leading character education program in the United States, headquartered here in St. Louis. And prior to that, she worked for Missouri Senator Kit Bond as the chief legislative aide in St. Louis. David Pierce serves as the executive director of governmental relations for the University of Central Missouri. And in that capacity, Pierce works with elected officials on the federal, state, county, and local levels. Pierce also works with the Missouri Chamber of Commerce and local chambers in Warrensburg, Lee Summit, and Kansas City. He serves on MORPAC to help promote issues important to the university. And prior to that, he would spent 8 years as a state senator and 6 years as a state rep. And Tammy Bruckerhoff is the Tourism and Economic Development Director for the city of Herman. She leads our marketing committee for MORPAC, which is working to promote Amtrak and the Missouri River Runner all throughout the state. Bruckerhoff manages the Herman Visitor Information Center at the Amtrak station, and that assists more than 15,000. So with that, I'll turn it over to our MORPAC speakers. Thank you all.
Thank you very much, Alex, and thank you for the commission for allowing us to give an update. Mayor Gibbons, Tammy, and I serve as volunteers on the legislative committee. And the last time we appeared before the commission was in December of 2023. And so we thought it was good to give an update. We have some new commissioners, and so we wanted to give you an update on what's going on with Amtrak. In December 23, for those of you who were on the commission at the time, you might remember we boarded the train in Warrensburg and we went to Kansas City. And I think the commission really enjoyed that. And so we'd like to do that again. So if we can schedule that, I know it's a logistical challenge, but we'd love to do that. What I'd like for you to do right now, if you look at the map, in the state of Missouri, we have 3 Amtrak lines. 2 of them are federal, and the federal designation is a line that's 750 miles or more. So we have 2 federal lines. They both come from Chicago. One is the Southwest Chief that goes from Chicago all the way to Los Angeles. There's 2 stops in Missouri, La Plata, and also in Kansas City. The other federal line, again, comes from Chicago, and that's the Texas Eagle. It goes from Chicago to San Antonio, and it stops, of course, in St. Louis and also in Poplar Bluff. So those are federal lines. The state of Missouri does not financially support those lines at all. Okay, so those are federally funded. What I'd like to draw our attention to now is the Missouri River Runner. And that's the one that you all have a great deal to do with, and we really appreciate your support. Missouri River Runner is 283 miles from St. Louis to Kansas City, with stops, of course, in St. Louis, Kirkwood, Washington, Herman, Jefferson City, Sedalia, Warrensburg, Lee Summit, Independence, and Kansas City. Okay, so that's what we're going to talk about today primarily is the Missouri River Runner. In fact, I rode Amtrak yesterday, and I hope to go back to Warrensburg this afternoon on Amtrak. So let's talk a little bit about the economic impact on the Missouri River Runner. The Missouri legislature, with also the support of Governor Kehoe, approved $17.5 million to provide 2 daily round-trip trains every day. Ridership is up. In 2024, we had 194,276 passengers, and for this year, numbers are also up, and it should be even higher than that. Average fare that people pay to ride is $34.88. And currently there are 116 Missourians who are employed directly that actually work for Amtrak with a payroll of over $10 million. So Amtrak works, it provides a great service for our state. At this time, Mayor Gibbons is going to talk about an exciting opportunity for all of us in 2026, an opportunity that you all were very supportive of. Liz?
Thank you, David. And thank you, Director Hassinger, but you brought it up already. It's the World Cup that is coming in Kansas City. And why am I excited about it in Kirkwood? My understanding is we're going to have games played all throughout the state. And we believe that there will be a lot of people taking the train and using the train. And we thank you for putting in an extra amount into the budget for a 3rd round trip. We thank the legislature for last year funding that. We believe that they're working out the logistics right now, but from April until June, we will have 3 round trips between St. Louis and Kansas City. Every station along the line is thrilled and excited about this, and we're gearing up our marketing and everything to get ready for the World Cup. So thank you very much for that. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Tammy Brukerhoff, who's going to talk about the marketing.
Thank you all for allowing us to be here today. The MORPAC Marketing Committee is working hard to promote the Missouri River Runner to increase ridership. Communities along the Missouri River Runner line partnered with the University of Central Missouri journalism students to offer backpack journalism. The UCM students came into our communities and wrote stories, which landed on UCM media channels along with print and digital version of the Mule Skinner. Our marketing agency ran digital ads to increase awareness all throughout the Midwest, which helped increase ridership. The Missouri Division of Tourism features the Missouri River Runner on social media, in the Missouri Travel Guide, and in numerous other promotions domestically and internationally. Marketing takes partnerships. You met our newest partner before today's meeting. He is our mascot, the only Amtrak mascot in the United States, and has become a star. In just 1 year, Ollie has made 18 appearances at events along the Missouri River Runner line. To give you an example of his travels and appearances, he was at Ballpark Village in St. Louis and met Fred Bird. He attended the Washington Town and Country Fair. He met over 20,000 people at the Green Street grand opening in Lee Summit. And of course, he attended the Missouri State Fair. Ollie has several more appearances scheduled this year, and our communities love having him and request him often. Ollie has taken on a life all his own. He has become friends with the conductors on the train who are happy to help him travel from one side of the state to the other. He celebrated his first birthday by going for a train ride. He has his own calendar and business cards. He has his own hashtag, Ollie Aboard. I mentioned he's become a star. He even has his own fan club. Marketing the Missouri River Runner is a huge partnership. It is a partnership with Amtrak. Jennifer Bastian is here from Amtrak. Alex Schrader and his team of Kenna Letterly and Brian Ross. Brian might be here. Okay, thank you, Brian, for all your work. He didn't get to see Ollie for some crazy reason. All of the engineers and conductors along the Missouri River Runner, the Missouri Division of Tourism team, and the marketing teams in each community along the line. Our partnership has never been stronger, and we are making a difference. In calendar year 2024, ridership was up to 197,434 riders, which is the highest it's been since 2001. I am thrilled to share with you that you're going to be adding another award up here. The Missouri River Runner Marketing Partners will be honored at the Governor's Conference on Tourism next week by receiving the Marketing Campaign Award for Small Markets. This award is given to an organization that has effective integrated marketing campaign that results in increased tourism and economic benefit to a region. So now the Missouri River Runner is the award-winning Missouri River Runner. Next year, during the World Cup, Missouri will be exposed to the world. With a third-round train and visitors coming in from all over the world, the Missouri River Runner will play an integral part of the international success story of the Show Me State. Thank you all for your continued investment in the Missouri River Runner. Working together, we are making a difference. Our train trio thanks you for your time today, and we are happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Tammy. Ed, any comments?
Well, I would just say that the folks that have been working on this are some of the most motivated people I've met. And, you know, it is always an uphill climb though, right? We got to remember that we have to go again and again every year to reinforce what we're doing and make sure that our legislature is willing to fund this service. And it's great to see the increase in ridership. I think that's a key metric that matters when we're talking about funding. And that's just great news. And that's to the hard work of your marketing team and all of your teams. So thanks.
Thank you, Ed. Anybody else have any questions?
Mr.
Anne
Chairman,
Marie? Yeah,
just a
Commissioner Baker.
comment. Thanks to the train trio for being here this morning. I really appreciate the presentation, all the information. I think the benefits of this are very obvious to the traveling public, whether that be traveling for business or personal reasons. It's another option, and an option that many cities do not have. And that's a wonderful quality of life issue in my book. And then you also have the economic impact benefit, which is significant as well. So it's all good, and it's fun to come in and see this. The hospitality here has been lovely the past couple of days. And I will just say, meeting Ollie this morning and then hearing about the social calendar really puts mine to shame this summer. But having my photo taken with Ollie was delightful as well. So you're doing a great job getting the word out and keep up the fantastic work.
Yeah, I just want
Yeah.
to make a quick comment too. Very shortly after I was appointed to this position, I received a phone call from the mayor. Mayor Gibbons called me and invited me to Kirkwood at the train station because she wanted to talk about the importance of transportation infrastructure, particularly the rail aspect of it. And obviously, your mayor has a tremendous amount of passion for not only this community, not surprisingly, but also for the importance of the amenities that are necessary to help make a community like Kirkwood a thriving and a wonderful place to live and visit. So I just wanted to make sure you all knew, and this is something you all know, but you have a wonderful mayor, and she's on it, believe me. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Lay. Any others? I have a question for Tammy. Coming from Kansas City, to be honest, we're a little overwhelmed by what we've taken on over there. And we're just starting to get a little nervous about just the magnitude of this event. I wonder to what degree you might be coordinating with the local host committee on day trip opportunities for visitors to jump on the River Runner, come to Herman, come to Kirkwood, and if there's any effort to make visitors and the host committee aware of the day trip opportunities that exist.
Absolutely. Thank you for asking. Yes, the day trip opportunities, we've put together itineraries for visitors to come from Kansas City, Independence, Lee Summit, Warrensburg, and come to Herman for a day on the train. But we also want to encourage them to come for 2 nights if they can, because we love to get that lodging tax. And more economic development for us.
Yeah.
So yes, we are working with them as more information becomes available from the commission, Kansas City, along with the Missouri Division of Tourism communicating to us. They are really encouraging all of the communities along the Missouri River Runner line to have itineraries for our domestic and international guests coming, because they're coming.
Can't think of a better way to get a taste of Missouri than to jump on the River Runner. You know, what for 3 weeks. And what I'm hearing is that people, international guests are booking hotel rooms as far away as Omaha,
Oh, yes.
even here in St. Louis.
Yes.
And, you know, there's a real opportunity to co-market, and I'm glad to hear you're doing that.
Absolutely. And we also feel like so many people will fly into Chicago and take the River Runner that starts in Chicago, comes to St. Louis and goes to Kansas City. So I think, and also because of the construction, that wonderful construction that's going on in the progress,
Yeah.
we think that the Missouri River Runner line will be an exceptional option for those travelers. And European travelers travel by train, so they are looking for the train experience.
Yeah. Well, what a great news story. Well, thank you all.
Thank you.
If there's another comment, thank you again for the wonderful welcome, and we'll look forward to accepting that invitation to take another ride. Maybe this time we'll do it on the eastern side of the state. Thank you. The next item on the agenda is a public presentation from the Great Rivers Greenway St. Louis District Engineer. MoDOT District Engineer Tom Blair will make the introduction.
Commission, it's taken 25 years to get to this point, and I'm really thrilled that Todd Anton, the Chief of Planning and Projects from Great Rivers Greenway, is going to give you and everyone here an update on what Great Rivers Greenway is and what they're doing and how they collaborate with MoDOT. So Todd, the floor is yours.
Good morning, Commissioners and Director Hassinger. Good to see you.
Good to see you.
And Mayor Slay, thank you. Good to see you too. My name is Todd Anton. I'm the Chief of Planning and Projects at Great Rivers Greenway. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to you today to talk about, we're celebrating our 25th anniversary of the voters passing Great Rivers Greenway back in 2000. So it's really great that we're celebrating this year. And we wanted to highlight some of our projects that we've worked with MoDOT and its great staff over the years, and just talk a little bit about so I believe in your packets, you have a brochure as well as our report to the community from last year, which is our annual report that we do. So there's a lot more details about the organization, but essentially Great Rivers Greenway was created actually in the late 90s by the Missouri legislature. It passed the enabling legislation that allowed voters in St. Charles County, St. Louis County, and the city of St. Louis to vote to create a sales tax. And at the time, that was a 1/10 of 1 cent sales tax that would be used to create a regional system of interconnected greenways, parks, and trails. And so it was very unique. We're one of the only districts of its kind in the United States that's funded that way, with the sole mission of building an interconnected system of greenways, parks, and trails, connecting all of our great assets here in the St. Louis region, including our parks, community centers, transit stations, and great assets along our rivers as well. These are just a couple of facts we have up here about what we have. One thing I like to point out too, we have counters that measure bicycle and pedestrian traffic on our Greenway network. And it measures between about 2.5 to 3 million visitors each year on our system. And so it's really impressive. It's really used by a lot of our residents, not just for recreational purposes, but also to get out and enjoy nature, to get out for school or maybe get to work. And we see the increased use of folks using it to connect to our Metrolink stations, our light rail stations as well throughout the system. Just a kind of a slide, I think everyone kind of here knows what a trail or greenway is. And it's really about making connections and making opportunities for folks wherever they live, work, or play to be able to easily connect to a regional system of amenities. And that can be a lot of things to a lot of different folks. Some folks are more focused on the environmental side and getting out to get fresh air, maybe getting close to our rivers and great parks that we have. Other people, it's about getting to work or get to school. Others are just to get out to, get away from the stresses of the day and get out and get some fresh air and just enjoy nature. And one thing that we always talk about quite a bit when we talk to folks about Great Rivers Greenway is just the personal benefit. As I said, it's that opportunity to get out during the day, to work and see nature and get out and commute and get to the destinations that you'd like to get to. As well as on the other side, a major driver of economic impact in terms of construction work that happens throughout the entire we operate, as well as working with all of our community partners, our municipalities, our county park departments and state agencies as well to operate and maintain the green system. So we know that there's that long-term impact that is helping to benefit the region. This is a map, and I believe this map is in your materials as well. So this is just showing the three counties, St. Charles County, St. Louis County, and St. Louis City. And right now we have, this says 135, but we actually have 140 miles now that we have built throughout the three counties, which is great. And we are continuing to work. The vision is about 650 miles. So we still have a ways to go, but we are working actively to build the system out. And because this is a dedicated source of funding for us, we are able to work with our various partners throughout the St. Louis area to continue the connectivities as much as possible. And as you can imagine, the Katy Trail is a major connection in St. Charles County. There's a lot of folks that love to get out on the Katy Trail just for a nice afternoon, and folks that come in from across the world and around the United States to come in and do the whole Katy Trail across the entire state of Missouri, which is wonderful. This is just a couple images here of a few of our facilities. I'll show you some highlights here. It's been really great over the last 25 years working with staff from the Missouri, from MoDOT, as well as from St. Louis County Highway, St. Louis City, and St. Charles County Department of Transportation, working with all of those different agencies to create this system. And kind of as a theme I've noticed today in some of the presentations, obviously partnerships are very critical, and that is no different for us. We work with a lot of organizations, nonprofits, private developers, various government agencies. It takes all of us to make this system work. You know, we are a unit of local government by the state legislature, but we have to coordinate and work with all of the partners. And aspect of that is that we don't have the power of eminent domain like a municipality does. So when we're working to build the system out, we have to work with willing property owners to get the development of out, which I think is critical. And it makes it so that it's a win-win that helps to create the system. I'm hitting the green button here. Yep, there we go. So just I wanted to highlight a couple of our projects. And one thing I'd like to note is that since the founding of us over 25 years, we led $1 million in various federal grants, Greenway, as well as working with MoDOT to build out the system, which is wonderful. Since 2020, we have achieved 47 million. So we are close to $80 million now in federal grants that we are getting at the local level and the federal level. This is a project that was one of those that we built in St. Charles County. This is over Route 364 at 94, connecting a major greenway here that in St. Charles County to the Katy Trail. It's been a great partnership with the city of St. Charles. Here's another recent example. We worked with MoDOT to continue the Greenway Greenway, which is called Grants Trail, which you heard about a little bit from the mayor. Greenway Greenway Grants Trail is one of our longest existing routes that we have. It routinely gets close to 700,000 folks a year that are out there. And this is a section here that we worked along I-55 to build the gap to connect it. It now connects about 22 miles of greenways and trails throughout St. Louis City into St. Louis County. This is a project, and we had a St. Vincent Greenway in the city of Pagedale working as MoDOT worked on St. Charles Rock Road and working on improvements in the roadway. We worked with them to connect a portion of our St. Vincent Greenway, which comes from Forest Park up to St. Vincent County Park and the University of Missouri St. Louis. And so these are some improvements that we recently opened up that is along St. Charles Rock Road. This is a major project and something we should work with MoDOT as well as the cities of Kirkwood, Sunset Hills, and Fenton on the addition of a bicycle and pedestrian bridge over the Merrimack River far from us as MoDOT was working to rebuild the bridges over the Merrimack River. So this was a great project that we all of us working with those partners to build this facility, which connects trail systems on both sides of the Merrimack, which have some great facilities. And then this is a newer project that's underway right now. As I mentioned, our Centennial Greenway is a major project for us that connects Forest Park to Creve Coeur Park in St. Louis County and the Katy Trail. So it is one of our major Greenway connections. We are working with a variety of partners, the city of Olivet and the city of Creve Coeur and St. Louis County. and MoDOT to look at how we can continue to connect into the 39 North District there. As you can imagine, there's a lot of folks from around the world and around the United States that come here that are researchers that teach at Washington University or elsewhere and are looking for places and opportunities for them to work, bike and walk to nearby restaurants, as well as getting to teach at WashU. So we are working now to connect here at 39 North, but also working and continuing through the district and then over US 67 Lindbergh to continue that connection. So we're very proud. The City of Creve Coeur just received a grant to do the work with us to do the bridge over US 67, which would be a great project. And then I wanted to mention, because this is something we should all be proud of as St. Louisans and Missourians, is the City Arch River project. I know Director Hessinger and Commissioner Slay at the time when he was mayor worked quite a bit with us. This was a $380 million project that just actually wrapped up earlier this year with the completion of the old courthouse. But a signature project of that, what we worked on with MoDOT and others, was the park over the highway, which eliminated that. If you went to the Arch, you knew how it was not really great if you had a stroller or if your mobility was impaired. So this really created that great connection over I-44. We worked on a lot of improvements within the Arch grounds itself, as well as on Leonard K. Sullivan, to really improve the visitor experience for folks coming around the world to the Arch and to downtown St. Louis. And this was a great partnership that we all should be very proud of. This is an image that are showing that you can see the Arch there in the center and then going out to connect to the old courthouse and then Keener Plaza, which is further there in downtown. So it's really great that this has been a partnership. And as I mentioned, it was $380 million. And then you can see the various funding strategies, which was a big public-private partnership at the time. And real quickly, in the time I have left, I wanted to highlight the Brickline Greenway. This is an initiative that we started with the City of St. Louis and a lot of partners starting in 2017 or 18. And this is how to look at how we can connect some of the Louis city area in terms of Forest Park, the and all the project work I just showed you, as well as 2 other parks. So this is a effort that we did that looks at 10 miles right now connecting National Park on the right. We have Fairground Park on the north. We have Forest Park there on the left, and then Tower Grove Park. And those are all major recreational amenities and areas for folks that get out in those parks, as well as how we can connect all of that together into the other business districts and other areas of the neighborhoods that we have in here. And so this is a major project that we are working on right now. We have various segments that are in construction. Detail that shows those connections, and working with MoDOT right there in the I-64 corridor is going to be critical here as we go forward. And Linda's always showed this because this is a map working with Greater St. Louis Inc., GSL, in terms of some of their major initiatives that they're looking at. You can kind of see how they're there, including the National Geospatial Agency, which just had its grand opening this past week, which is a great facility for the City of St. Louis to be opening that. And it's right there on the future Brickline Greenway as well. And one thing I always wanted to mention, there's studies across the country that talk about how economic impact can really help in communities across the country. And so typically when a greenway is built, you really see that about 1/4 of a mile or 4 blocks or so of impact that you really see increased property values, you see redevelopment occur, you see folks that really want to be close to having that connectivity. And so that's what we envision with the brick line, as well as all of our greenways. But the brick line, we're really focused on that, how to work in some of the areas that need some more assistance in the City of St. Louis to help bring residents back and bring increased businesses to parts of St. Louis City. And we worked with Greater St. Louis Inc. back in the fall of 22 to do an economic impact report. And I do like to just mention that the report showed a 2-to-1 investment with this that we're doing. So the overall investment is a $245 million effort, which is using public, private, and nonprofit resources. And I'm really proud to say that as of right now, we are at 65% of our goal of raising all that money, which is great. And we are at 90% of our state and local share of that, which is wonderful. Lastly, I just wanted to show this is a project I mentioned that we're working with a variety of partners, including MoDOT, and it's been wonderful to work with the MoDOT staff We were the recipients of a $9.9 million federal grant to continue the connection here in this dotted line that you see, that St. Louis University is right there. You see the label. It comes through, and we are working to continue that, and then continuing the bike and pedestrian bridge through the I-64 decks there to connect to our Grand Metrolink station, which is a major connection for us. And it's used by a lot of students and faculty at St. Louis University and others in the area there. We have the City Foundry as well as Chaffetz Arena, which is where SLU basketball team plays and stuff. So this is a major connection for us that we're really working on. I'm really proud to be working with MoDOT to make this a reality here in the coming years. And that's all I have.
Well, thank you. Well, that's certainly inspiring. Someone from Western Missouri, I am totally impressed by what's going on over here. It's really remarkable. I'm not aware of anywhere in the country that might have as bold a vision as what you've presented here today. So thank you for that. Ed, do you have anything you want to add?
Well, I think it's just a very unique organization to be also taxpayer funded, but if you listen to Todd and how they collaborate and have to leverage, and they're really good at it. They do a very good job of doing that across the region, and you can see it in the results. The work that you all have done is really something to be envied by a lot of folks, and the way they go about it is really first class. So, and I know that's a lot to Todd and to the leadership at GRG. So it's a unique thing in St. Louis that everybody should be proud of.
Very good.
I'd like to just make a quick comment. Thank you, Todd, for your leadership. It is a wonderful organization. I do recall when it started, the vision of what was going to happen, and I can tell you with the leadership of the organization, you've been extremely successful, and I want to thank you for that. Thank you for joining us here today. And it really does make it easier to get around in a safer way in the St. Louis area. And it's been a very successful program.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I'd just like to comment to Todd, as the chairman said, we're not used to things like this on the west part of the state, but you touched on how critical the partnerships are for the success of Greenway, and I couldn't agree more with you in that. And MoDOT, we're glad that we can play a part. We want our pedestrians and bicyclists to be safe too. And we look forward to continuing working with you and watching this expand and grow. So very, very interesting.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Other
Thank you,
comments?
Mr. Chairman.
Well, thank you. Very inspiring. I've got all kinds of ideas now, but thank you for that. We're going to move into the business portion of today's meeting now with an action item where we will make consideration of bids for transportation improvements for the month. Sarah Kleinschmidt will make the presentation.
Chairman Erdman, Commissioners, Director Hassinger, good morning. For the September 19th, 2025 bid opening, MoDOT received 80 bids on 24 calls. We recommend the following for you today. To award all calls to the lowest responsive bidder, except for call C02 in the Kansas City District. We recommend the rejection of call C02 due to excessive bids per section 102.15A of the Missouri Standard Specifications on Highway Construction. Call B01, located in the Northeast District, has funding from Illinois DOT, IDOT, for $97,250, which is half of the construction contract cost. IDOT does have concurrence in this award. Call F01, located in the St. Louis District, has funding from IDOT for $369,999.99, which is half of the construction contract cost. IDOT also has concurrence in this award. These are our recommendations for you today. If you have any questions.
Very good. Thank you. Any questions? Ed, do you have anything you want to say before we consider this?
I'll let you make your decision first.
Okay. All right. All right. Is there any discussion or any questions for Sarah before we entertain the motion? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve the presentation?
So moved.
Okay, I've got a
Second.
motion
Second.
and a second. Is there any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all those who are in favor would say aye.
Aye.
And are there any opposed? Hearing none, it's approved. Do you have a budget update for us?
Yes, I do. Today's awards are for a total of $104.5 million, which is $18.3 million under the budget based on all projects, including contingencies. Today's awards also result in a state fiscal year of 2026. Award total to date, $254.6 million, which is a savings of 15.5% or $46.7 million, which is under budget on $301.4 million worth of work. And that is based on all the projects, including contingencies. And this includes emergencies, special weddings, projects led by others, and design build awards for this fiscal year.
Very good. Well, it's great to hear that we've got so much competition. It's great to hear that we're running below budget. Yesterday, when I learned we were running below budget, I had some ideas for some of that money and was reminded I needed to go through the STIP process. So maybe I'll try to do that, but thank you. Ed, did you have something you?
Well, I just think what's Sarah's budget report is good news. We're seeing great competition, and our contracting industry is really stepping up and, delivering on the projects. It used to be a rare occurrence when we'd have a monthly bid letting that was over $100 million. Now it seems to be that it's pretty much just routine, that we are routinely awarding $100 million a month and more. So you're starting to see the payoff of the work that's been done with our legislators and our federal partners, and we're putting the money to work.
Very good. Unless there are any other questions or comments, thank you, Sarah. Outstanding work.
Mr. Chairman, it's nice to see that we're getting multiple bidders too, because I remember when we were getting one and two, so it's great to see all these people bidding this work. So.
Yeah, it's just tremendous the level of competition we're getting. Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you.
Next agenda item is a non-action item. District Engineer Tom Blair will provide an update on the St. Louis District. Tom?
Good morning. Well, it is my honor, and thank you, Chairman Erdman, Commission, and Director Hassinger for allowing us a few moments this morning to provide an update from the St. Louis District. Today, we're going to focus on the Director's 4 focus areas of safety, operations, program delivery, and customer service. Presenting with me today is Michelle Ferneris and Tom Evers, our Assistant District Engineers in St. Louis in charge of operations and program delivery. First, as is tradition for me, I usually like to welcome you to St. Louis. This is a graphic showing the St. Louis MoDOT District, which consists of 4 counties: St. Louis County, St. Charles County, Franklin County, and Jefferson County, and the city of St. Louis, therefore making us the smallest geographically of all 7 MoDOT districts. But as you know, we are home of 1/3 of Missouri's population. 2.5 million people live in the St. Louis district. We are responsible for 1,714 interstate miles. That is the most interstate miles of any of the 7 districts that MoDOT has. Here in St. Louis district, we have a lot of traffic. 26% of all the miles that are driven on the state system in the state of Missouri are driven right here in St. Louis. That's 14 billion miles a year are driven on the state roads in the St. Louis region. Michelle's going to talk to you shortly about the condition of our roads and bridges, but I do think when I think of bridges, we do have, I know you all work as commissioners very hard on funding our major bridges. Those are bridges over 1,000 feet long. They're very costly bridges. We have 55 of those 211 Missouri-owned major bridges in the right here in St. Louis, 55 of the 211 bridges. So let's talk about that first focus area that Director Hassinger has us all focused on, which is safety for all. I start with, safety is priority for all of us, and we have many of our customers in the room here. It's a safety for us, it's an issue for us and for our employees. We at MoDOT start with our safety pledge, and that is, I am safe, what I use is safe, where I am is safe, my customers are safe, so that we all go home safe. That is our pledge. That's a way to remind ourselves as we take action every day that safety is at the core of everything we do. We are constantly in St. Louis implementing strategies in projects and in our operations to reduce crashes and serious injuries. We have a culture within our agency and here in St. Louis where we require all of our employees before they go out in the field to do any of the work to do a risk-based assessment. They also use typical applications that our agency has created to ensure that we're doing things standard. And we're constantly, as an agency and a district, trying to improve those and learn from anything that does go differently. As far as safety for our customers, I know Commissioner Boatwright earlier spoke about some of the fatality rates that we have in the state of Missouri. But when I put this slide together, we had 157 fatalities here in the St. Louis region. About a third of those occurred on the state system in the St. Louis region. That's similar to where we were a year ago. What's unique about the fatalities and serious injuries in the St. Louis region is about 25% of them are vulnerable road users. You're going to hear shortly from Katie Harlan about vulnerable road users. But these bicyclists and pedestrians, 38 of them so far this year, have lost their lives in St. Louis, 25% of our 157. You don't hear that as we travel across the state in other parts. We have a lot of bicyclists and pedestrians here. We still continue to see issues with seatbelt use, helmet use, speeding, and distracted driving. I know you hear that all over the state. That's not unique to us. We do have a lot of work zones. You've talked about that. We have had so far this year, when I put this together, 1,508 crashes in the work zones. And again, about a third of those are occurring on the state system. One of the things I think of when I think of safety for our employees and our customers, and when we get struck, and I haven't met a citizen yet that wakes up in the morning and wants to drive in the back of us. You've seen some videos in previous years from me when those vehicle strikes happen. This year I chose to put some pictures in here. I thought the pictures really told a loud story. 48% of the strikes were motorists running in the back of our truck protecting our employees that are patching potholes, sweeping and mowing grass. Those are the common things that they're doing, our employees. 48% of strikes. When I put this together, it was 12 strikes out of 20. 20 times MoDOT's trucks have been struck across the state. When I put this together, now it's about 15 out of 20 that have occurred right here in the St. Louis district. So what are we doing about it? Director Hassinger always challenges us to look at, well, what can we do about it? Well, you know, we are really happy that you and the legislature got the hands-free law in place. You know, we think as that really gets matured in its enforcement and everything, that's playing a critical role in helping our drivers be attentive so they don't run into us or our contracted teams as we're making those repairs to the transportation system. But in addition to that, things we control, we have a whole entire team dedicated right here in St. Louis toward truck-mounted attenuators, those crash cushions on the back of the truck that if you run into them and everything. We don't want you to run into them. We have a whole team dedicated. We have over 100 truck-mounted attenuators. In the upper picture there, you'll see we've added signing to it, extra lighting to the back of it, including a third brake lights. We have rear-facing cameras that record all of what's happening of all the vehicles. I've shown you some of those videos in the past. We have audible alerts or rear-facing horns. We're constantly innovating, that team that we have here in St. Louis, on how to make these TMAs more visible so that we get struck less. And now I'm going to turn it over to Michelle to talk about the director's next focus area.
Good morning. So restoring operations is essential for us to safely and most efficiently maintain our system and better enable us to meet customer expectations. In St. Louis, over 80% of our pavement conditions are rated as good condition. However, our bridge conditions, we have some room for improvement as 70% fair condition. However, in St. Louis, we have many, many more assets than just pavement and bridges. Over 40% of MoDOT's traffic signals reside here in the St. Louis region. That takes a lot of maintenance and engineering to maintain and operate those intersections. Almost 170 dynamic message signs and over 700 closed circuit cameras are essential to both the MoDOT team and the traveling public to make better informed travel decisions and our traffic management of our system. All of that is housed here in St. Louis and maintained by our team. Those skill sets are essential. Items such as litter pickup, debris removal from our shoulders. We do care about keeping Missouri beautiful. Over almost 71,000 bags of litter have been in the St. Louis region. Now imagine each one of those bags weighs 20 pounds each. Over the course of this year, 8,800 tons of debris have been removed from our roadside shoulders. Now that is equivalent to the weight of 64,000 sofas. And it comes back time and time again, right? So we understand we do not meet those expectations that customers or our team want for clean roadsides and shoulders. We continue to up our cycles, and we also do that by supplementing our team with contracted services. Pothole patching is very essential here in St. Louis, and we've heard a lot today about safety, high rates of speed, high traffic volumes. This is an orchestrated set and relies on our skill set of our team to put this operation together day in and day out. 47,000 potholes approximately have been filled in the St. Louis region this year. You've heard a lot about our bridge maintenance team. We are really excited to recognize this team and the skill sets that they bring to the table that translates into time and cost savings to our taxpayers. But we need to continue to build and retain that skill set. That team has completed 1.4 million square feet of deck sealing on over 100 structures in the past year. You heard earlier about their skill sets when bridges get struck and the heat straightening and different activities that we are able to self-perform here in St. Louis. Graffiti and encampment cleanup takes a lot of efforts to keep the roadsides looking nice here in St. Louis. Over 80% of the statewide cleanup efforts of graffiti occur in the St. Louis urban core. Another focus effort of our team is almost 90% of the statewide encampment cleanup efforts are concentrated here in the St. Louis region. Before I hand off the operations component, I do want to let you know that this morning I was honored to present one of our shining stars here on our maintenance team, our assistant maintenance supervisor, Stanley Andrews, with the leadership coin. He has stepped up to lead positively and raised his building to focus on customer service aspects that I just spoke to you about. He is receiving not only MoDOT praise, but also responses positively from the customers. So I just wanted to recognize that it's examples like Stanley that each and every day they are trying to meet those customer expectations and step up. And I'm excited that he's on our team to further those efforts.
Is he here?
He is here.
Yeah.
All right, Tom.
When we're done with this presentation, we may ask him to come forward and get a picture.
So I'm here I'm probably going to speak about many of the projects that we're delivering in the St. Louis region. So as you can see, we have over 100 active construction projects here in the St. Louis district worth over $900 million. So it is a tremendous effort. And while I'd love to talk about all 100 projects, I will just touch on a few of them this morning. So the first project is on I-55 in St. Louis City and County. And this one we've probably talked about time and time again. This is simply, not really a simple project, but is really an asset management only project. It is rebuilding bridges just the way they were, but extending their life for many, many years. This project was awarded, as you can see, in spring of 2022. working on 14 different bridges. And thankfully, we are wrapping up and we're on the final leg of the bridge work, and 2026 will be spent on resurfacing all the scarring from the traffic switches and just the worn pavement that the drivers have been maneuvering on over the past several years. So this is a good project in St. Louis City and County, strictly asset management. But as you move further south on I-55, this is a $246 million investment to both expand and do interchange improvements on this corridor in Jefferson County. This was or is a design build project that was awarded a few years ago, a very similar scope to the Improve I-70 statewide contract. So you could say that this was like the Improve I-55 project here for an 8-mile section. This project is coming along very well and really will improve safety and mobility at these interchanges and throughout this corridor when it's complete at the end of next year. Also, primarily an asset management project is I-270 here in the heart of St. Louis County, just right at the I-64 interchange. This work is working on the Conway Road and Ladue bridges that are just north of the interchange. But man, is there a lot of traffic here. So for this project, there is over 180,000 cars per day that travels on I-270 alone that are impacted by this work zone. Many different stages of traffic. We anticipate this work being complete in the spring of 2026, early next year. All right, on this next slide, I want to pause for a moment because this is really a series of projects that really the whole state has been working on over the last few decades to upgrade all of our existing pedestrian facilities to meet ADA compliance. This is vitally important to replace the aged sidewalks in the entire region, but really, in essence, to bring everything up to compliance with ADA law. These investments take a tremendous amount of effort, investment, and resources. Our design, right-of-way teams, and construction offices spend countless hours working on these very important, but sometimes tedious projects to work on, a piece of sidewalk at a time, going up these roads. And even in the town of Kirkwood, where we worked with the city, but we're working block by block to improve Manchester Road, just as an example. These ADA projects, like I said, take a lot of investments. Over the last 5 years or so, we had 32 of these projects that just the sidewalk work alone and pedestrian work improvements were $70 million by themselves. Total investment for the entire corridor was $286, which included resurfacing and other safety improvements. And another speaking point that I want to point out here is that from our right-of-way team, all of these sidewalk projects are abut right up against right-of-way. And oftentimes we need a temporary or a permanent easement. And just over the last 2 years, we acquired over 600 easements. That's a lot of work for our right-of-way team. They've done a tremendous job of delivering these jobs. And just overall, we have a lot more projects coming soon. So these projects that are not just asset management, but many system improvement and safety improvements, including Route 47 in Franklin County, which we're actually having our second public meeting next week to discuss some of the options and alternatives that our team has come up with. We will complete the ADA transition plan projects by awarding projects through this year and into next year, early next year. We also will be working on I-64 in the city of St. Louis, as Todd mentioned in his GRG presentation. You know, this work is kind of right in the heart of where the brick line and our improvements will be going through with collaboration with the city. These are just a few of the examples of great projects that will transform our region and help our communities moving forward. And finally, just to summarize the amount of work that we have in our STIP that our team is working on, over 200 projects valued at $1.4 billion in the St. Louis region alone. That includes 71 bridge projects that will impact and improve or replace 377 structures. And I think Tom was saying that we have about 1,200 structures. So that's a good percentage of bridge work that we have coming up in the next 5-year program. Also 58 pavement projects that will improve over 2,100 lane miles. And also just noteworthy is that we're really doing a great effort of working on our structural sign replacements in the St. Louis region. And we have over 125 miles of overhead and structural signs that will be improved in this 5-year cycle. That is not all that we're doing, of course, but those are some of the highlights that we have. So with that being said, I will turn it over to Tom Blair for the fourth and final focus point.
All right. Now we're on to the fourth focus area, which is customer focused. This is MoDOT's mission statement. So MoDOT's mission is to provide a world-class transportation system that is safe, innovative, reliable, and dedicated to serving customers for a prosperous Missouri. Customer service is the ground, the foundation that we all work from. You're in St. Louis. You are in very near the MoDOT St. Louis Transportation Management Center. It is the 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, no holidays off, statewide hub for all after-hour calls and the majority of our traffic incident management across the state. This TMC, when compared to other ones across the Midwest or across the country, handles more traffic incidents that block lanes than any of its peers, not just in the state of Missouri, but we handle a lot. We have a very robust ITS system here in St. Louis, so we have the TMC knows when crashes occur, where they occur, and they're actively managing that traffic at a level that most other TMCs don't see. When I look at the TMC and all those call numbers and all that stuff that you see at their bottom, what I asked the team, they told me was that over the last 12 months or so, we have seen significant increases in traffic incidents that have blocked traffic lanes, significant increases in work zones, as you as commissioners have acknowledged all across the state, and customer calls. When I look at that, I've been around a while, I see that as a growing demand for Missouri's transportation system and for the MoDOT team members that provide these services. So for us to do good customer service, we got to have a team. I am thrilled that when I put together this slide, I was about with that number on there, 91% staffed. 91% staffed. I'd love to be 100% staffed. This team, MoDOT team here in St. Louis, has worked really hard to take the investments that you've made in our employees, recent decisions that you've made, and amplify those to get to 100%. I wanted to get to 100% before I put the slide together, but 91% in the St. Louis job market is a pretty big accomplishment that we're really proud of. We're going to keep going to that 100 and get to that 100%. And I want to thank you as commissioner for making the tough decisions to invest in the MoDOT team to give us the opportunity to be competitive. Our team is deeply connected to the community and committed to developing strong leaders. As far as the community, the district is making a dedicated effort to grow and fill our vacant positions, deepening our connection to communities by serving and participating in multiple recruitment and outreach efforts. The district attends here in St. Louis District approximately 40, when I look back over 5 years, approximately 40 hiring events every year, 40. Those aren't all organized by us. These are organized by our partners. In addition to traditional positions that you would think of, like human resources job titles, or some of our area engineers that you've gotten to know all across the state or here in St. Louis that interact with the community and try to attract people to come work for us, we have the only community liaison position here, and it's right here in St. Louis. Her name's Shonda White. I would have loved to have Shonda stand up and be recognized today by you, but she can't. Because you know where she's at? She's at another job hiring event right now, trying to fill those final 9% of our positions. And hopefully she'll report back to me later today that she was successful in getting that done. So we really are engaged with the community. As far as our leaders, the St. Louis District invests a lot in our future leaders. We give a lot, as you heard from the two speaking today, we have a lot of rewarding work, challenging work here. We empower our team. Some of our MoDOT team members are in the crowd today. Many of them were too busy to be here today. But we empower them to think creatively, be great partners like Todd talked about and the mayor talked about. We encourage them to take ownership in the work that they do here in St. Louis. I think that's evidenced by the recognition of Stanley earlier, by Director Hassinger's recognition of our bridge maintenance team that self-performs some really talented work. It's also evidenced by a lot of our executive team members right here in the room and a lot of our division team members. They grew stronger when they were working in the St. Louis District too. So I think that's a great thing. Now, I want to close by just saying I learned a lot from Mayor Gibbons. Last night, when she was talking to you guys, she said she was the luckiest mayor in St. Louis. And I was thinking about that last night, and I realized all of a sudden, I never even slowed down enough to realize I'm the luckiest district engineer at MoDOT. Think of this, what we just talked to you about. I have a great team. We have some of the most dedicated public servants working here in St. Louis, and I'm honored to be the district engineer in St. Louis. So thank you very much for allowing us to share our story with you today.
Well, thank you, Tom, and yes, indeed, great team. Thank you, Tom, a great team. We're very proud of them. Ed, did you want to add anything?
Well, I think you've seen the, kind of the things that go on here. It's 24/7. There's no time off. This team is in it every day and they do a great job. Tom has a really tough job because I used to have it and I know all about it. And, that maybe makes it tougher for him, and he does a great job, and his leadership team that's around the room, bar none, great at what they do. So thanks for all the hard work.
Great. Yeah. Hold on a minute here, Tom. Any other questions for Tom and his team?
Just a comment.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you. Yeah, Tom, thanks for the presentation. Thanks for the wonderful work that you folks are doing out here. One point that you pointed out in the presentation really kind of sticks in my mind, and that you mentioned about half the TMA accidents are here in the St. Louis area. That's the attenuators, the things that are designed to protect our employees. Yeah, I know we constantly are looking at safety issues, things that we can make the workplace more safe as we go about, but we really need the engagement of the drivers. The public needs to really take it seriously that when we say it needs to slow down, they need to slow down. And they need to be observant, and they need to really take into consideration. We can't get it done without them participating in safety as well. So I know we're trying to get that message out there too, but I think of you often and our employees out there. And that particular statistic is unsettling. Yeah. But thank you for the presentation.
Thank you.
Are there any other comments or questions? Is our award winner still our coin recipient, leadership coin recipient still?
Yeah, let's get
Yeah, come on, we want.
And let me point out to you that also Stanley serves in a volunteer capacity on our employee advisory committee. So he's got enough to do in his day job, but he also volunteers to do another one. So.
Yeah. All right, well, that was a good review of everything going on here in St. Louis at MoDOT, and certainly a hub of activity. Our next agenda item is a non-action item. Katie Harlan, Traffic Safety Engineer, will make a presentation on vulnerable road users in Missouri. Katie?
Good morning, Chairman Erdman, Commissioners, Director Hassinger, and Madam Secretary. My name is Katie Harlan, and I'm the Traffic Safety Engineer in our Highway Safety and Traffic Division. Today, I will be discussing vulnerable road users in Missouri. I'm going to start off by reviewing some background information about vulnerable road users. So, road user, or VRU. There's an official FHWA definition, but for simplicity, a VRU is any person that is walking, biking, or traveling by personal conveyance. And a personal conveyance would include things like scooters or wheelchairs. These users of the system are our most vulnerable, and the number of fatalities and serious injuries involving these users has been on the rise for over a decade. As you can see, from 2010 to 2020, nationally, the total number of fatalities has been increasing, but the number of pedestrian and bicycle fatalities in that same time frame has been increasing at a higher rate. This same trend can be seen when looking at Missouri-specific data too. From 2015 to 2023, the total number of fatality and serious injury crashes in the state has increased by 14%. But the VRU, fatal and serious injury crashes, increased by 51%. Knowing this trend was occurring across the country, additional emphasis was brought to these road users through the bipartisan infrastructure law. The law has two specific requirements. The first being that all states needed to complete a VRU safety assessment along with their strategic highway safety plans. And the other is that if 15% or more of the roadway fatalities in your state are VRUs, then at least 15% of the Highway Safety Improvement Program funding must be spent on VRU projects. So what is the state of VRUs in Missouri? Looking first at scale, Missouri saw over 760 million miles walked and over 110 million miles biked in 2024 alone. Also, from 2015 to 2023, Missouri saw 1,144 VRU fatal crashes, 3,445 VRU serious injury crashes, and 12,331 VRU minor injury crashes. It's also important to note that in more recent years of fatality data in Missouri, we ended 2024 with 17% of our fatalities being VRUs, and are on track to end 2025 with an increase in that percentage to 18 to 20%. But as always, it's important to remember that these are not just numbers, that these are people that have been killed and injured on our roadways. So now I will review some initial findings from the VRU safety assessment for Missouri that is currently being finalized. The assessment breaks down the crash data and reviews risk factors in various ways to showcase where there is the potential opportunity for improvements on our road to zero. Again, this assessment is required to occur in the same timeframe that we update our strategic highway safety plan once every 5 years. Starting first with the crash data review items, there are a few that I will bring attention to. Starting with VRU fatal and serious injury crashes by time of day. While there is somewhat of a trend with sunrise, there's a much clearer trend with sunset. No matter the time of year, there are more VRU crashes that occur during that transition lighting portion of the day. Continuing on with a focus on lighting, the assessment showed that over half of the fatal and serious injury VRU crashes occurred at night, either in dark, unlit, or lit conditions. It's important to note that even if the crash was marked as occurring in a lit condition, it does not mean that the lighting present was there to emphasize the pedestrian. These findings within the crash data and the location of the crashes help to inform the creation of the higher injury network map required for the assessment. The higher injury network map is again focused on the crashes that have occurred. This map gives a network of focus areas where we have seen more VRU crashes occur on the system. It's also important to note when reviewing this map in more detail that the higher injury network will include routes on both state and local systems, as is a requirement of the assessment. Breaking this information down in numbers, the higher injury network is 788 miles of roadway, which is just 0.6% of the total network in the state. Looking only at the state system, this is even more targeted to 309 miles of roadway, which is 0.9% of the state system. While the crash data is important to review, all crash data does have a level of randomness, especially with the location of the crash. This is even more true when reviewing VRU crashes. Because of that, the assessment also reviewed various systemic factors, including the neighborhood, roadway configuration, and users. I will review a few of the more telling factors that were considered. Starting first with looking at if the roadway is within an area that has been designated by the U.S. Census Bureau as historically disadvantaged, this has a higher potential for there to be a VRU crash. Another area that has a higher potential for a VRU crash is if the roadway is near a school. However, the largest systemic factor that we found was if the route was served by transit. As you can see in the chart, if the route is served by transit, it has a 17 times higher potential of a VRU crash occurring. These are just a few of the systemic factors that were reviewed. Others of note include if the route is located near a park, if the roadway configuration has 3 to 4 lanes, and if it has a higher number of VRU trips. These systemic factors that were determined through the assessment help to inform the creation of the higher potential network map. This breaks down the system into higher, moderate, and lower potential segments. It shows the roadways that have more of the systemic factors, even if a crash has not occurred in that specific location. To this point, I have focused on the VRU assessment, and we will use that information to continue to move forward with addressing these types of crashes on our road to zero. However, it's important to note that there have been other programs and planning done with a focus on VRUs that have already occurred. This includes things such as the ADA transition plan, apportionment of certain federal funds, and the SAFER program. Looking first at the ADA transition plan, it was identified at the beginning that there were over 37,000 barriers within the right-of-way that needed to be addressed to comply with the requirements of the Americans with Disabilities Act. Since the start of addressing the barriers identified as part of this, $190 million of completed work. 6% of the plan being completed as of August of 2025. It's estimated that another $120 million needed to complete this plan by August of 2027. Another source of allocated funding for VRUs is through the Improvement Program, or HSIP. As previously mentioned, the bipartisan infrastructure law added a special rule specific to VRUs with this funding. In order to plan for the possibility of meeting that rule and to try to get ahead of the increasing trend of VRU fatalities we are seeing in the state, starting this fiscal year, FY 2026, 15% of the total HSIP funds will be spent on VRU projects. This was approved by commission action through the STIP process and will be approximately $12 million. This allocation is planned to continue indefinitely within the HSIP funding. Finally, the SAFER, or Safety Assessment for Every Roadway program, while not specific to VRU, does have VRU information included. This program focuses on asking the right questions in the project development process with the goal of having safety on all projects. The SAFER document also incorporates the FHWA proven safety countermeasures and is broken down into several sections, which include things like roadway visibility, access management, transportation systems management and operations, and VRUs. Each section is a list of questions that prompts the project team to consider various aspects within the project areas. This program started in July of 2022 and has been very successful with over 70% of projects in the first 3 years of the most recent STIP, including a safety improvement. While these activities have been beneficial, there is the potential for more to be done, as was shown with some of the findings from the VRU assessment. Some specific planned next steps we are pursuing are the continuation of the VRU apportionment of the HSIP funds and the SAFER program. Additionally, there are various policies within our engineering policy guide that we have planned to update to provide more direction and address some of the findings from the assessment and other ongoing research. Some examples include our lighting guidance to include pedestrian lighting. There is currently a research project underway through a STIC grant to review our current lighting policy and compare that to national guidance for pedestrian lighting. Those results will inform the next steps in updating our policy. Other upcoming guidance includes reviewing various VRU safety countermeasures, specifically those listed within the Safe Transportation for Every Pedestrian, or STEP guidance. Some examples of these countermeasures include high visibility crosswalks, leading pedestrian intervals, and pedestrian refuge islands. This update will help to give information about those countermeasures and our recommendations about when they are most appropriate for implementation on specific roadway types, and given various other considerations such as speed limit and volume. I hope this gave you a better understanding of VRU Missouri, and I would like to thank you for your time today and would welcome any questions that you may have.
Thank you, Katie. That's very informative. To make much data you process to kind of pinpoint where issues and opportunities might be. So congratulations on that. Are there any questions or comments from Francis?
Sure. Yeah. First of all, thank you so much, Katie, for your work and for your presentation. Your very important work and presentation that you provided to us today. This is something that we can't talk enough about. The national trend of increasing pedestrian fatalities is alarming, to say at least. We appreciate you joining us to give us insight into not only the federal guidelines and adjustments we're operating under, but also the safety initiatives that are being implemented to make Missouri's transportation system safer for all users. We all benefit from the work you do, and certainly want to thank you for that.
Other comment? Ed, anything you want to add?
Yeah, I think just when you look at the size and scope of the issue, it's really similar to what we've talked about, though, is there are things that we can do as a department on the infrastructure side, but it's still going to take the public to behave right. You know, motorists and pedestrians and bicyclists, you got to do all of the above. It's definitely a coordinated effort. The investment that we have made on the parts that are on the state system is probably unprecedented in our history, you know, literally hundreds of millions of dollars. But that's only one piece of the puzzle. And you heard from Todd earlier about what they're doing. All that stuff has to coordinate. And you can see it right outside the door when the mayor talked about Manchester, Kirkwood Road, you know, huge investments that have paid great dividends, but we still have more work to do.
Yeah, what's impressive to me is the sheer volume of data that's analyzed and then used to kind of target resources and targeted responses. That's a tremendous use of the information that we have and putting that to good use. So I appreciate that update today. If there are no other comment, we want to thank you for that presentation. That's a very good use of our time today, and we do appreciate your time.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you. Coming to the end here, our next agenda item is a non-action item. Lance Taylor will provide an update for the high priority unfunded needs plan. Lance? Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, Director Hassinger. As said, I'm Lance Taylor, Transportation Planning Director, and it is my pleasure to present to you all the 2025 High Priority Unfunded Needs list. Transportation planning is really blessed to be involved in a lot of efforts that help drive transportation forward in Missouri. This one is special to me because it's really about hope. It's capturing the needs of the citizens and stakeholders, and it's documenting those so that those citizens can see that we understand what their needs are for a transportation system moving forward. For my staff, Brittany O'Connor and Brian Regan do the heavy lifting for central office planning, but this is a total team effort. Staff and communications, staff all around the districts. The district planning managers really lead that effort. They have those hard conversations about what can be added to the list and what doesn't make it. They really do a terrific job in collecting up a lot of these needs and lifting them up to us. So I want them to know how much we appreciate them. Also, our planning partners. Our planning partners are critical in us understanding the needs of the people within the regions. We have some of our partners here today. We are certainly very appreciative and grateful for them. These are folks that are dedicated and committed to transportation. They're passionate about improving the lives of those they represent. And they're a terrific partner for transportation planning to help move forward, transportation forward. Anytime we talk about the STIP or unfunded needs, we like to talk about the financial planning model. This is MoDOT's approach to sound fiscal management. It starts with the financial forecast. We establish the budget, and that allows us to know what funds are available for STIP programming. That's where the unfunded needs come in. It's a starting point for that conversation with our partners on what we're able to deliver in each region. And we've done that. Over the last 7 years, we've moved $6.1 billion from the unfunded needs list into the STIP. Sometimes for me, I get focused on what I'm working on, putting together the next list, and I forget to focus on and celebrate the accomplishments that we've made as a state. $6.1 million is incredible, and everyone that's had a hand in that should feel like that accomplishment is worthy. The Citizen Guide kind of established the buckets of unfunded needs for us. They categorized the needs, but they didn't specify where those needs were necessarily. And that's what the unfunded needs list does, is it provides specificity to the location and the cost of real life locations around the state where those needs exist. So we task our planning managers to go out and work with the stakeholders and engaged planning partners to be able to determine what their needs are for road and bridge and for multimodal all across the state. They returned a list of $4.7 billion of tiered road and bridge needs and $1 billion of multimodal needs. This map represents the tier 1 needs. It's $525 million worth of road and bridge needs that are across all 4 categories of road and bridge buckets. These are needs that we assume that are close to being able to be delivered in a 5-year STIP for the most part. As you can see, these kind of focus on the increased economic growth and improved safety. Those are those system improvement jobs that help improve the lives of our citizens. Tier 2, these are needs that are a little bit more removed from being able to move into the STIP, maybe having a little bit more engineering or effort needs to be put in place. Again, this tier is $2.2 billion worth of needs all across the 4 categories. And again, heavily focused on those system improvement type. And then tier 3 is even further removed from that possibility of moving into the STIP. We just got a little bit more energy and effort to put into those so that they can be delivered. The tier 3 is a total of $2 billion worth of needs, again, all the way across the state, again, on all 4 categories. Starting to see a little bit more of the improved, the road conditions starting to show up. And then our multimodal needs list, we have worked with our regional planning commissions and our modal partners and our multimodal division to try to bring together all the right people in the room so that everybody's voice is heard in putting together the multimodal list. And we've come up with a list of $1 billion worth of needs that are across all 6 categories of modes. Then we have needs that extend beyond district borders. They may be multi-district or corridors across the entire state. They can be improvement programs that address spots that are located throughout the state. And so we maintain a statewide needs list. This year's statewide needs list includes $5.4 billion worth of needs. When put together, this graph represents the list in its entirety. It's over $11 billion, $11.4 billion worth of needs. There are roughly 616 needs that are identified in this list throughout the state. And when we look at it, you can see that. You can see that the needs are spread across the regions, spread across the districts, and create a list that gives a general overview of all the needs. We put the list together. We create a draft list. We publish that draft list. We provide a feedback tool for anybody that reviews it online to provide us their comments. But we also host in-person meetings. So from August 5th through August 28th, we held 10 meetings around the state, at least one in each district. We had 162 external parties that participated in those meetings. And it's really an opportunity to learn about the list, see the changes that were made, and give us our feedback on how we're doing. How did we do in bringing all these needs together? That audience for those in-person meetings is city and county officials, the media, consultants and contractors, planning partners, lawmakers, and some of the general public. In total, from the feedback, we had 55 comments that were submitted by 30 individuals. In general, about 12 of those were pretty supportive of needs on the list. 16 provided some feedback of opportunities to expand the list, and a couple in the middle. When we look at the trends of what they supported, there was no real big push on any individual need that wasn't included or that supporting a need that was on the list, 40 or 50 comments of a specific area. But we had a lot of 1 or 2 or 3 comments in support of routes along that are included in the list, for the modal active transportation needs that were listed, for rail expansion needs that were listed, and then just in general for interstate reconstruction. In terms of those that kind of objected to needs, we had a few comments that were targeted specifically at Forward 44, and just one in general towards road and bridge projects that we need to look at modal alternatives to try to address some of the challenges that we experience on those corridors. In terms of what needs to be added, again, not a big bulk in any one direction. We had 2 or 3 comments for the US 61 Hannibal bypass being added, some modal active transportation needs identified, including the Rock Island Trail, signing for our US bike routes, developing a statewide active transportation needs plan, reinstituting the Safe Routes to School program, and then some transit needs of providing more bus service and providing non-bus service. Additionally, expanding rail to new regions of the state, addressing a few sidewalks along existing facility, developing a formal road diet program, building wildlife crossings, and then just a few general items that were multimodal or MoDOT operations in general. So about 6.2 million people in Missouri, 616 needs. And the trends to me suggest that based on comments, we're pretty close. No list is perfect. We go through this on a cyclic process so that we can learn and that we can reassess and we can do better each year. And so very pleased with the responses, thankful for the comments that we received. And I believe that it supports that we're pretty close on this list. So with this presentation, moving forward, we'll publish this list to make it available on the website. We'll take the feedback that we have and ensure that both our engaged partners and our district staff are aware of those for their consideration as we move into the next cycle. We start the cycle soon after STIP programming gets pretty solidified so that we can start the conversation again about what the next step to get onto the list. So we are always looking at ways to improve the list and looking at ways to improve our process, the ways that we engage our public, work with our partners. And so we're excited to have this published, and we will start again. With that, I'd be happy to take any questions or comments or concerns.
Thank you, Lance. For the audience listening and the audience here in the room today, at a very high level, Missouri has a capital planning program that's the envy of the nation. We basically have a 5-year project planning program. We call it the STIP. And it engages local people in all the regions of the state in deciding what the priorities are. This commission doesn't sit here and decide all that in a vacuum. We do it based on the STIP planning process. And so that 5-year process every year, when we complete a year, why then a new year rolls in. The unfunded portion that we've focused on today is kind of the on-deck list. The list of projects that tier 1, 2, and 3 that would be on deck, if you will, to get into that 5-year funded program. And we do that so that people have the opportunity to know that once you get in that 5-year program, that your project's going to be done. And that's a really important thing, and why I'm reminded constantly of the importance of the STIP planning process, because once we promise a community, we want to make sure we can deliver. A big part of that, of course, is just having the money available. This year, we have reached the last increase in the Missouri refundable fuel tax. We know that electric vehicles and fuel efficiency is reducing fuel consumption. And all of that has the effect of reducing through inflation our ability to address nearly 11 billion in unfunded needs. So we're at a high point right now. We have projects funded, but we're at the high point of a bell curve. And over time, that ability is going to go down again. And what worries me as chairman right now is over time, inflation is going to erode that revenue stream and make addressing those unfunded needs that have been identified. And I think that's something as Missourians we're going to have to address in the future. I don't know that you have a question, but do you have anything you want to say about that?
Well, I think it was well said, better than I would have said it. But yeah, we this also serves to help folks that have an opportunity to address funding, to know what's in store, what that funding, what the transportation system could look like if additional funding comes along.
Very good. Other commission comments?
Just, Mr. Chairman?
Yeah.
No, just thanks, Lance, for your presentation. And it's always interesting to see what all the unfunded needs are and to begin our work with our planning partners to move this thing forward. It's a key process, and it works good. And I appreciate Sarah, see Sarah sitting back there and all of their hard work to move this thing. I know it's a lot of work, but all we need is money.
Yep, money. We got the great partners, so
That's
thank
right,
you.
we do. So thank you. Mr. Chairman, what you said, well said. It is a concern.
Yeah, it's something we're going to have to start talking about statewide as
Absolutely.
we've enjoyed several years of historic project funding, and we are so grateful. In many ways, we've been catching up for deferred maintenance, but it's fun to be at the top of that bell curve. It's not so much fun when we start sliding back down. Probably the most important thing we could do is find a way to offset the impact of inflation on our purchasing power. Ed, do you have anything you want to add?
Well, I want to just give the commission some credit here because when we looked at the buckets, right, the Lance showed the slide, and there were these generic buckets that had big numbers in them, billions of dollars of needs. They were accurate, but the commission said, well, what is that? That doesn't mean anything to me. And they challenged us to say, let's define what those buckets are so that somebody can say, there's my project, and give them some incentive to maybe work on what you just talked about. When we can make it real and make it local, then we can have a better discussion about what do you get for your money and are you willing to put up your money? And I think the evolution of the process has been great. It started with kind of bare bones. We've added multimodal into the mix, realizing that there's no funding source for that, but at least identifying those needs so that our legislative leaders in the state know how much it costs to fund Amtrak, how much it funds, what we need to do for transit. And that's an evolving process, but I think it's a good one, right? We kind of stole some of this. I see Jim sitting there. Jim's group has been doing this for years in St. Louis, right? They've had an unfunded needs list that's multimodal and road and bridge, and we've kind of expanded that to the state. Looking forward, next year we're going to add unfunded operational needs into the unfunded needs list. The things that I talked about, restoring operations, those don't come free either, right? And so we've got to put that into the conversation of here's all the road and bridge, here's the multimodal, here's the operations. So it's an evolving process. And I guess the thing that I guess I'm most happy about is what Lance started with was this process has put $6.1 billion into the funded status that we are committed to deliver. And I'm not sure we ever thought that would happen when we started this. So process that's been well developed, and Lance and his team have done a great job of leading that.
Yeah, I think when Missourians know that the projects that have been put in the STIP will be done, and they'll be done on time and on budget, and that the list of unfunded needs will come up next, and have the opportunity to look at ways to help with the local contribution toward those, and know what the unfunded capital and operating needs are, and we make that explanation. I really do think Missourians will support continuing the level of investment that MoDOT has made in recent years and not want to go back to the years when we were closing maintenance sheds and cannibalizing operations in order to keep projects moving. So I'll probably be talking about that a little bit in the years to come. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Well, and
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, not to sound like a broken record on this particular topic, but the list is wonderful. The STIP is wonderful. All of it means nothing if you don't have a team that can execute and get it done. And that's the piece that makes this organization different from most in the country is when it comes to execution, we're the best. And this team does a tremendous job putting those jobs in the ground and continuing to do that and having that list to keep us all focused on where we need to, on what we need to do to get things done is very important. So thank you.
Thank you. Okay, well, we've come to the end of the business portion of our meeting, and we have arrived at the public comment period. Members of the public who did not schedule a presentation before the commission may speak to the commission on transportation-related issues by having signed in at the registration desk by 9:30. Comments will be limited to 5 minutes per person and 10 minutes per topic. With that, do we have anyone signed in for public comment today? Okay. Let's see here. First, we have registered for public comment, Mr. Kenny Murdoch, St. Louis County staff, on behalf of Dr. Sam Page, St. Louis County Executive. Mr. Murdoch, welcome, and we look forward to comments.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and Commissioners. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak today. Dr. Sam Page sends his regrets. He couldn't make it to the last minute conflict, which I learned recently. St. Louis County is the largest county in Missouri with 1 million residents. We are proud to be the economic engine of the state, and about a quarter of Missouri jobs are based in St. Louis County. We value our relationship with MoDOT and have worked collaboratively on many key projects, including I-64 and I-270 rebuild projects. Both of these have had profound and positive effects on our area. As a local public agency, we depend upon federal funds to advance our limited dollars to bring value and needed projects to our area. We will continue to work diligently to modify our process so we're able to meet obligation requirements, assuring federal funding stays in this region to maintain and build our local roads. We appreciate the open communication between agencies. On behalf of St. Louis County resident, thanks to MoDOT for advancing long overdue work on I-70. This will improve safety and enhance our economics across the state. Thank you very much, Commissioners.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Murdoch. Anything for Mr. Murdoch? If not, Arnie? Okay, there he is. Our next registrant for public comment is Arnie Dienhoff. Good to see you again. Welcome. The floor is yours.
Good to see you, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. My name is Arnie C. A.C. Dienhoff, State Public Advocate. I first want to talk about meeting packets again, and I know we've been working on this for a number of months. Packets need to be disclosed, in my opinion, 7 days before a meeting. The Missouri State Senate, the Missouri House of Representatives, the Missouri Public Service Commission, the Missouri State School Board, the Missouri Board of Higher Education, and literally hundreds of other states, boards, and commissions follow this practice and follow this openness of transparency. We still do not see transparency and openness of this commission until weeks after or the day after in terms of the meeting packet, and it breaks my heart as a Missourian. I will press and demand either you do it voluntarily by the commission yourselves with discussions or through state legislation, which I'm drafting and working with sponsors to put into effect or pre-filing in December. Giving Missourians the commission packet before the meeting with details, contracts, staff communications, cost analysis, meeting minutes, and especially the financial report is very vital to the transparency and openness of government, which you've hidden for decades upon decades. Under Chapter 610.023 of the Revised State Statutes of Missouri, I am again for October 1st, 2025, asking for the entire meeting packet that all of you were given 1 week ago by the commission secretary. I'm also asking under Chapter 610.023 the meeting minutes and the meeting packet for the Missouri Transportation Finance Commission, which you met yesterday, September 30th, 2025 at 3:45 p.m. And I'm also asking for the Missouri Highway and Transportation Commission, your closed meeting. You meet in tons of closed meetings, a lot of secret meetings, and never any disclosure of the meeting minutes, votes, or discussions. So I'd ask for all the meeting minutes and the votes that you all cast individually under the law for September 30th, 2025. Meetings for the public, not just you commissioners who are shuttled in by airplane and by MoDOT staffers. At the past several meetings, there's not been ample parking for the public. Also, taking up 20 empty spaces with MoDOT green cones out in the parking lot right now. There should be free parking for the meeting venues, especially at the University of Missouri, where I was given a ticket, and fortunately, they decided to rescind that ticket by University Police. ADA accessible and compliant buildings need to be in effect. To Michelle, Tom Evers, and Tom Blair, Lane 1 of southbound I-70 from, Lane 1 south I-70 from I-270 from I-70 to Big Bend Road needs major help and needed potholes with maintenance. I ask you to drive this lane, and you will need to go to the chiropractor that evening because the road is in such bad shape on one of our major state thoroughfares. Safety repairs across the state still are not getting done, and we need to get better today. I-70, I-64, I-55 construction zones need your attention today, not next month and not the month after. My experience with the 50 and 55 speed zones on I-70, I-55, and I-64, I follow the signs and the instructions, but there are excessive speeders, changing lanes, reckless driving, following too closely, very bad behavior in my opinion. They've ended up almost in my trunk, flashing their lights, giving me the middle finger, showing a gun in some cases, going to another lane or shoulder, and then cutting me off just to prove a point and trying to cause an accident. Something needs to be done by the commission today. This is an emergency. This is a serious matter before another major accident pileup happens or a death of another human being. Public safety, excessive reckless speeding, irresponsible drivers who just do not care. We all need all hands on deck. I-55, just this past weekend, a Louisiana semi-truck driver hit 8 cars to inattentive driving, and there was a death. 15 high-profile accidents between Wentzville and Wright City in the construction zone. A narrow margin of error through these volatile construction zones. More hands for overtime of both the Missouri Highway Patrol and local, county, municipal law enforcement needs to be done by you as commissioners. There needs to be prevalence. Liaison to the Commission for the Highway Patrol, take back to your commanders what I am saying to save Missouri lives and visitors to our state. Missouri lives matter. Put the resources towards preventive. The way that we do public safety for these meetings at the beginning is the way that we need to approach and take on construction safety zones. There needs to be no tolerance. Something needs to be done today. We need to team up working together to prevent injuries and saving Missouri lives and people who visit our state throughout the nation. I'm tired of hearing the police radio, hearing from my friends in law enforcement, the fire protection districts, the ambulance district, responding to accident after accident on I-70, I-64, and I-55. And I ask you commissioners, I know you want to get back to your homes and your business lives, but you need to put the money and find some money somewhere within the budget to have for overtime for the Missouri Highway Patrol, county law enforcement, and municipal law enforcement partners to save lives and prevent tragedies. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Dienhoff. The secretary will note the request for disclosure within the requirements of the revised Missouri statutes. And notice the chief engineering officer took note of the road conditions comments that were made, and Director Hassinger is engaged in communication with the Missouri Highway Patrol about enhanced enforcement. Thank you for your comments. The next registrant is Mr. Michael Carmody. Mr. Carmody.
Good morning. Good morning, committee, director, secretary. Some of you should have received last week, if this sounds familiar, a little note from me. And I just want to review the note quickly with you. I appreciate your time. I appreciate the opportunity to come and speak to you. What I'm speaking about today is MoDOT's duty to recommend FHWA proven safety countermeasures in East-West Gateways projects. When East-West Gateway rewards federal transportation grants, MoDOT is responsible for plan review and oversight before the funds are finalized. This role is not intended to check in compliance. It includes that federally funded projects deliver the strongest possible safety outcomes. I have supporting evidence on this, starting with the SAFER tool that was developed to facilitate the safety discussion throughout all phases of a project. MoDOT's guidance explicitly, every project is an opportunity to reinforce a safe system and consider potential safety improvements. FHWA guidelines provide safety countermeasures, 28 of them, which were mentioned briefly earlier. These are easy to digest. Even citizens can see them and understand them. And the opportunity that is sitting here for us to impact every dot in the St. Louis region, or for that fact, every dot in the state of Missouri, by simply having the oversight utilize their expertise in directing them towards missing safety opportunities in these funding programs. MoDOT's responsibility is reviewing the East-West Gateway project is to strengthen, not rubber stamp, the improvement safety outcome. I want to put a PS to this. I heard you folks speaking, and I've read a lot about the incredible crashes that are happening in your projects with your associates. I want to put something in perspective. And from day one, when I started reading about this a number of years ago, I kept on reflecting back to my own neighborhood. What you folks are living with in these safety projects are no different than what we're living with in our own neighborhoods with speeders and reckless drivers. I know that there are opportunities here, putting aside the most obvious ones, but the infrastructure changes that FHWA has proven and tested and demonstrated work. Why are we not embracing those more often? With that, I thank you again for your time and the opportunity to talk.
Thank you, Mr. Murdoch. That concludes the public comment period, and we appreciate all those who took the time to register and make public comment today. As we come to the end of the meeting, typically we like to provide commission members to share their concerns, reflections, and thoughts on the meeting. Today, we'll start at the far end with Commissioner Baker.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. There's been a lot of information shared today, so I'll keep my comments short. We as commissioners have the opportunity to visit communities around the state, the various districts of the department, and it's very interesting and always enjoyable to talk with people like you and to see things. It really brings these things to life. And each community is a bit different, has its own personality, and it's nice to see what's working out in the districts and what may need a little more help. But I see one common thread, and that is, and it was said nicely on one of the slides presented today, a vision this bold takes all of us. There are lots of ways to say that, and we talk about this a lot, but it's partners and people working together with shared common goals. It's just a golden formula, and it's evident here. It's wonderful to see the great things going on here in Kirkwood and St. Louis County. So thank you for your hospitality. We've had a good crowd with us here today, but I started to wonder about it, reflecting on Mayor Gibbons' comment about the painted seats of different sizes. Do we really have people back there? Or are they just the painted seats? But seriously, we do appreciate everyone coming today and sticking with us throughout the whole agenda. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Commissioner Baker. Commissioner Slick.
Yes, great to be here, and it's good to see everyone this morning. I want to make sure I recognize Jim Wild, who's the executive director of the St. Louis Planning Commission, the Planning Commission that we rely on tremendously in determining how the transportation funding in the general region is. And I when I was mayor, you were heading the organization. So you've done a wonderful job of leading the organization. We appreciate your work and the work of the entire commission. But happy to be here, and this community, it's a wonderful community. The mayor was here. She has talked to me on a number of occasions about transportation issues. So the community has a wonderful leader and collaborative leader who really looks out for her community. It's great to be here. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Slay. Commissioner Hagerman.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I'd like to thank the city of Kirkwood for hosting us here today. I really appreciate the welcoming atmosphere and the nice environment, beautiful town that they have here. A lot of wonderful highway projects going on in the St. Louis region. I appreciate the review of those, Tom. I appreciate seeing what's going on over here. It's a little far away from Cosby, Missouri, so I don't get over here and see them very often. So I appreciate you sharing what wonderful things going on here and the multimodal projects. You know, Senator Pierce, thank you for your presentation on the Amtrak and the need for the alternative routes of modes of transportation other than just vehicle and cars and trucks and such, buses, I guess, too. But that's multimodal. Anyhow, really appreciate everybody coming out, and I do want to continue to encourage folks to remember, you know, we've got a lot of traffic, a lot of work going on right now. Please talk to your friends and neighbors. When you see them speeding too fast, when you see them aggressively driving in an area, please gently remind them that they can be part of the problem and that they need to be part of the solution, not part of the problem. And you know, it may be a loved one that's doing it, one of your kids or, you know, wife or such, you know, tell them it's smart for them to kind of slow down, take it a little easy and deal with the progress that's coming and the wonderful things that we're going to get once the construction's done. So anyhow, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Kirkwood.
Thank you. Dean of the Commission, Commissioner Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just wanted to extend what's already been said, but Mayor Gibbons, thank you for your hospitality and sharing the history of Kirkwood. Very, very interesting. I enjoyed it. And to you, Mayor, and David, wherever my friend David is, and Tammy, there he is back there. Thank you for sharing about the Missouri River Runner. I've had the opportunity to ride the train a couple of times, and it's everybody should experience if you haven't, those listening and stuff. Todd, your Greenway presentation was very interesting. As the chairman said, we don't have that over on the west part of the state, but it's very interesting. And you know, we talk about all these projects that we've got going, all these work zones, and you know, the deal down on 55 Sunday is just a tragedy, and you know, 3 people lost loved ones, and it's very sad. And you know, for our employees, all we want at the end of the day is for everyone to be able to go home safe to their families, to their grandkids and kids and wives, spouses. So just please, just remind everybody, buckle up, phone down. You know, that's what we stress so much. And one last thing, and I'll shut up. It's always good to see my friend Greg and Linda Horn back there. Greg's one of the first guys I met about 12 years plus ago. He picked me up in St. Louis and took me somewhere I don't even remember now. I think to see the mayor and Vice President Biden at that time, it might have been. But anyway, it's good to be back in St. Louis or in Kirkwood, and everybody travel safe, and we'll see you later. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Commissioner Smith. Vice Chairman Boatright.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll be brief. All of the comments today, very much appreciated. The I-54 or the Highway 54, that raised grant money coming into the state, I just want to reiterate how big of a deal that is. And to Commissioner Baker's points on it taking a team and taking people throughout the state to be able to do that, it certainly does. And these unfunded needs lists, the STIP process, all of those things may not seem like it's that important when you're going through it, but it's extremely important to keep the department focused and keep our team to where we can execute those jobs on the ground effective and efficiently. So proud of the team, proud of everything that we've got going on statewide, and just keep up the good work.
Thank you, Commissioner Boatright. Let me just kind of close up here. We are in Missouri experiencing a historic time of investment in transportation. Never before in Missouri's history have such a commitment been made. And that is a tremendously wonderful thing. And we have to thank the people of Missouri with the General Assembly. And when you drive through those construction zones, as has been mentioned, please take them seriously and obey the law. That said, this is a tremendously opportunistic time. And from what you heard in today's presentation, Missouri is investing in its future. And I am exceedingly proud of that. You can see that here in St. Louis like almost nowhere else in the state. So it is an exciting time. It is a historic time, but we can't take it for granted. Currently, nothing stands in the way of our execution of this historic commitment to highways, but there is a cloud on the horizon. Only half of our authorization was provided by the General Assembly last year as the budget deadline approached. And as a result, we're going to have to ask the General Assembly for a supplemental appropriation to have the authority to go forward with the road fund and not interrupt these projects. I have every confidence we'll be successful. I believe the leadership of Missouri understands how important that is. But that is the top priority for us as we start planning for the General Assembly's next session in January. So if you have any influence with anyone, please tell them we badly need that supplemental appropriation. We decided to keep moving forward, full speed ahead, in spite of only having the half of that authorization provided. So I feel like we've kind of gone out a bit on a limb here to keep things moving forward. And I have every confidence that we will be able to continue that progress. So with that, let me note that our next meeting is scheduled for November 6th, and we will be meeting in Kansas City. We'll look forward to seeing those who are able to join us then. At this point, I might ask if we have a motion and a second for the adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded for adjournment. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The meeting is adjourned.